Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am Larry Csonka, and this is episode 80 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Joining me today, since Jeremy Lambert is lazy and taking the weekend off, is a special guest from BackBodyDrop.com, my friend Ian Hamilton. Ian, how are you, sir?
Hey Larry, not too bad. It's an absolute pleasure to be on the show. Like I said on Twitter after the announcement, 411 was one of the websites that actually followed wrestling news on back in the day, so it's an absolute pleasure to kind of close that loop.
Awesome, yeah, it's good to talk to you finally. We for the listeners, Ian and I, we spend my early mornings and his later mornings chatting a lot while we're reviewing New Japan. So that's always been kind of our common connection over the past year, especially.
Well, if all those Road 2 shows and Tag League shows ain't going to watch themselves, you know?
Yeah, and nobody else is going to talk to me when I'm doing them, so.
Especially Tag League.
Yes, especially Tag League. So today we have a lot to talk about. We're to talk about, obviously, the WrestleKingdom shows, Day 1 and Day 2. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about preview NXT UK Blackpool 2020, which takes place this coming weekend. Before we kind of get into the bones of everything, we probably should talk about the attendance for the shows. And one thing is I think people need to understand is kind of prior to WrestleKingdom 7, there was a lot of big time working at the numbers. Think WWE and WrestleMania for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
So from WrestleKingdom 7 through 13, attendance ran anywhere between 25 and 38,000 paid. So for night one, they announced 40,008 paid for the show. And according to other sources, there were 43 in the building about. So that's with all the comps and the like giveaways and stuff like that, which is up from the 38,162 from last year. So that's very good. Night two. So in comparison, like WrestleKingdom 12 did just about 35. Day 2 here this year did 30,063. So they did a combined 70,071 for the 2 days. First looking in, is this good news? Do you think it's a successful weekend?
So I think on the whole, yes, there's no way you can't paint as a success. I mean, there was photos throughout this morning, you know, long lines at the merch stand, what have you. So yeah, 70,000 fans for a show, okay, across 2 dates. You can't not paint that as a success. The one concern which I think a few people are going to bring up, I know I brought it up in my review, is the fact that you had the main event of night 2, a spoiler if anyone who's not followed, obviously, but Naito and Okada, that was a match they had kept away from for, I think it was 2 years and today, literally. And to give that on 1 day's build, okay, we don't know what the walk-up was, but to have that kind of drop, losing a quarter of a crowd, day to day, I can't call it a failure, but it's also a bit of a disappointment, I would say, that maybe they're expecting a bit more, especially for a match that I think I was looking on Cage Match beforehand, and they'd been largely kept away even in those undercard tags for the best part of last year. So, yeah, to me, you're never going to know, obviously, but had they just had one big Wrestle Kingdom and built that one match properly, from better word, you may have gotten more than 40,000, but for what you had, 70,000 over 2 shows. Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a failure, despite it's not a failure at all, despite that bit of an asterisk on day 2.
Yeah, I think overall for the weekend, I definitely would call it a success. I think the 2-day thing was a really good experiment. I saw no problem in trying it. My one concern going into it was the possible day 2 drop in attendance from whatever day 1 was going to be. And that was because you had, you're going into day 2 with 3 matches undetermined. The U.S. title match, the quote-unquote like losers bracket match, and then your main event. So that is... Stuff like that is why, like WWE stopped doing King of the Ring, because you didn't know who was going to be in the main event, and they were afraid of losing buys and ticket sales. And so, as you mentioned, to give Okada and Naito away on the quote-unquote 1 day notice, which it basically was, I mean, yes, there is obviously a long backstory there, but to kind of give it away on day one or one day and hope that you're going to maintain attendance to day two, that's the questionable move to me. I do think the 2-day experiment was a good one. I think it was kind of ballsy, but it worked out well with everything being on the weekend. You draw 70,000 fans, and there's live reports of people having to wait throughout the show like an hour at merch stands. Like outrageous lines. So they probably did a ton of merch business on top of the ticket sales. So definitely overall a success, but I think you can slightly question some things. Because, yeah, I mean, if you build to an Okada-Naito rematch and you know it's out there for how many ever weeks, you may draw really big. You may draw well over 40. I mean, we're not going to find out right now. I mean, they could obviously eventually go back to it. We'll see. But, I mean, yeah, I think that's the big questionable thing for me. But I would call it a success as well.
Yeah, I guess the one bit, you touched on, they did for 2 days back-to-back in the Dome. Obviously, 4th and 5th this year is a weekend. We're not going to get that until 2025. So, next year, they didn't announce anything beyond, I believe, G1 Finals and the announced video today. But I would imagine next year, the 4th is going to be on a Monday. So, I guess we're back to the 1 day at the Tokyo Dome, and then we'll try this again in 2025, assuming, we don't have some kind of apocalypse, where WWE signs up Noah, 01, Dragon Gate, DDT, and Japan becomes the same kind of hellscape that some believe UK indie scene has. But, that's perfect time for later on.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It does seem like back to business as usual next year. But we have 2 shows to break down here, starting with the January 4th show. And we started off pre-show match, which was Alex Coughlin, Carl Fredericks, Clark Connors, and Toa Henare defeating Togi Makabe, Tomoaki Honma, Yuya Uemura, and Yota Tsuji, 740 via pin. Overall, I thought this was a good and fun little opening match, and I was absolutely thrilled to see Henare pick up the win for the fact that I joked in my preview, he feels like the college student that graduated 2 years ago, but he's still living in the attic of the frat house with all his friends. Because he's in the weirdest fucking place right now. He's not a young lion. He hasn't been for a long time. He's had gear and music for a long time. But while he's had some singles matches here and there, he never really picks up anything resembling an important win or doesn't look to get anything resembling a push at any time. So I was really glad to see him pick up the win.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Henare, I think the big issue he had was he came in around the same time as your Juice Robinson and your David Finlays. Neither of those guys really had the excursion. They came obviously through the dojo system. And I think it's the kind of thing where now, obviously Juice and Finlay won the belts. Henare, he's one of those guys who you'd almost think, should he go on an excursion? I mean, he's got the gear and music, so that year out he had I think it was the Achilles injury. That was almost like the, here's your excursion, but not really kind of thing. The one issue I think I had with the match, and nothing to do with the match itself, but more the teams, is the way those teams were made up. So, Henare was teaming with the LA Dojo lads, and I don't know whether this, we obviously weren't going this way yesterday, but the one thing which is going to be worth keeping an eye on is Carl Fredericks. Obviously, he won the Young Lion Cup last year. If he starts to eclipse Henare or even some below tier guys, I wouldn't put Finlay in that bracket, but those kind of guys now, I would say this year, and it feels like we've been saying this for a while, this year really is make or break for Henare. You've got a good clutch of young lions coming through who, okay, they're imported from LA, but you've got a clutch of young lions who are getting wins over main roster guys. I mean, Carl Fredericks, he got, was it 6 points with Hiroki Goto in Tag League?
Something like that, yeah.
You never get that in World Tag League unless you've got a load of young lion teams. So they've got their eye on Carl Fredericks for something, and even though he didn't get the fall here, he's one I would really keep an eye out on in 2020. As for Henare, he's one of those, he's almost begging for some kind of push, but the issue you've got now, the whole thing over the weekend, they pretty much merged 2 title belts into one. What kind of push do you give him especially now they are effectively one mid-card belt less.
Yeah, and I know some people were like, well, they're going to be running a bunch of USA shows. He could do that, but I mean, obviously, Coughlin, Fredericks, and Connors are probably going to be working a lot of that, and they'll be bringing in some other guys. So, I mean, I don't know exactly if there'll be a ton of room for Henare. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, he's in such a weird place, and I think you said it right that I think this is kind of a make or break year. It's like if he doesn't do much this year, is he just kind of like, is he Chase Owens or Yujiro? And I don't mean that like in a horrible way, but I mean that's just, they are what they are. I mean, like, Chase Owens is a good workhorse guy. I like Chase Owens. Yujiro is fine. He does a lot of good work. I mean, he works way fucking harder than Fale in those tags. So I don't mind him, but I mean, is that like Hanare's destiny? Is that like his ceiling? I think we'll find out, and hopefully it's more than that, because I think he has a lot of potential.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what you've got to think of as well is Henare, like Juice, like Finlay, had some sort of career before he came to New Japan. You know, I know on the commentary, the English commentary, Kevin Kelly keeps talking about him being on posters for Premier Promotions over here in England, even though he's not been in this country for years. So it's not like this is a guy who came in, has been trained from the ground up. But yeah, I think 2020 definitely is the crunch year for him. One other thing I would say, obviously, you know, a lot of young lions, it was 3 LA Dojo lads, two remaining New Japan young lions in this opening match. There's a few names at the ringside which I think may be a bit interesting. Obviously, Gabriel Kidd, who we'll talk about later on, he came into play during the Tech Steph match. But did you notice there's another young lion who has kind of connections to a certain head of NXT?
No, I didn't notice. Who was there?
Bailey Matthews. So, don't know how much was out there, but I've saw him throughout the 2 shows. Reportedly, William Regal's kid. I don't know how much that's out in the open. He did a bit of a tour of the UK and Europe just over a year ago. He did one Dark Match of Progress. I saw him over in WXW during 16 Karat Gold last year. He's one of these guys who I don't think much has made tape of him. So, obviously he's trying to, build up a career without, working on his dad's name, which, a really good thing to do. But it's a whole hopping around from, done a couple of bits in the UK, none of which made tape. Obviously the WXW stuff. And I think it's very telling. There's been a few other people noticed this as well. You've got a guy who's very high up in WWE. His son isn't, in the performance center. Got Finlay as well. I just think that's kind of a bit telling of how much faith and trust they have in their own system. But again, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, that's been talked about WWE's developmental system, that it's not a quality developmental system, because basically you're in a performance center, you work the coconut loop, and that's it. I mean, that goes back years, though, when you think about it, because, Ricky Steamboat didn't send his son initially to WWE. He wanted him to travel around. Robbie Brookside didn't send Zaya to WWE to get trained or anything. And that's, been, a case over the last, few years. You've noticed that it is kind of telling that WWE guys, or people connected in some way at least to WWE, are more willing to tell their kids to travel the world and get trained elsewhere and get a bunch of experience, because you're going to be much better off. I mean, just look at Juice Robinson, for the fact that he was in technically NXT, quote unquote, for how long, and he was the drizzling fucking shits of CJ Parker. And granted, his first initial stuff with New Japan wasn't great either. He was a square peg in a round hole. But you look at where Juice Robinson's come now, and it's amazing just the work he's done in New Japan, how much better he got. He learned to cut a promo. And, I mean, people like to make fun of the dads. We're going to talk about that in the next tag match. But, you learn from working with Kojima and Tenzan and Nagata and Nakanishi and all those guys night in and night out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole point, the whole thing I've been banging on about the whole young lion system, sure, you eat a load of losses, but in the grand scheme of things, who cares? You're getting clear results, whether you have your Tomoyuki Okas, your Shota Minos, who start off working each other, then they step up, if you're Nagata and Nakanishis, maybe a few high guys. Okay, they're still eating losses, but they're getting varied experience rather than the Largo loop where it's the same guys, the same kind of experience. And yeah, sure, NXT signed a bunch of guys off the indies for experience, but at the same time, if you're not getting the top v bottom kind of matches, not in the regular, but at all, you're not gonna learn if you're playing with the same kind of players.
Exactly. So it's like you said, that's kind of a deeper discussion for another time. We can maybe do that. But so like I said, speaking of the dads, we had a rematch from the World Tag League final show. Kojima and Tenzan defeated Nagata and Nakanishi 5:55 via pin. Your thoughts?
It was what it was. I mean, we saw this in World Tag League final days. Both these teams absolutely legendary back in the day. Problem is, both of them now, they're carrying a bit of dead weight. Nakanishi used to have that one decent outing a year. Now, I hate to be the kind of guy who says X should retire. I mean, Christ, I had that this weekend. But I honestly do think Nakanishi and Tenzan, particularly from these two teams, they've been counting their days for a while, and I think we're a lot closer to the end of their career than we are the start. I mean, we've seen them. Nakanishi's been off how many tours this year, and even with all that time off, he still pulls out the bit Viraki does. He does what he does, but yeah, I think the fact that Nakanishi is saved with these roles, and I'd pretty much guarantee you're probably not going to see him on tours now until maybe the summer at the earliest. I think out of these, this may be the last time we see this match. Probably for a long time, if not ever. Neither of these teams have been regulars on the on tours for a while, so I think this may have been a final hurrah for the Tokyo Dome for this particular matchup.
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly solid. It was inoffensive. I love the dads, but yeah, Nakanishi, I've talked about him for years. He's a planet. I mean, people orbit around him during the match. He's so slow. And it's just I'm not trying to insult the guy, but he's older. He's a gigantic gentleman. And he's just, you can tell his knees are shot. He moves so slow. Nagata can still go when he has to. Kojima can still go. And as you also mentioned, Tenzan is just, he's so rough. He does a couple signature moves. He has that creepy ass looking ankle. And it's just like, I don't know how the dude walks half the time. So, yeah, I guess like Nakanishi especially looks like he's going to be the one. He might just be done because he looked like he was taking a bow there after the match.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Nagata just signed a new contract. The three guys, there's not been much said. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if out of these four, none of them appear for Dome again, outside of maybe if they bring back Rambo or anything like that.
Yeah. I would like I said, Kojima and Nagata can still go. You can do a lot with them working with the Young Lions. They'd be great guys to work some of the U.S. shows too because they have some name value, and like I said, they can still go a bit. But yeah, it's rough looking at it sometimes because you try not to be overly harsh because these guys are legit legends. But it's also there's a point to where you gotta walk away. And we're going to talk about that actually next. The Jushin Liger retirement tour sadly coming to a close here at WrestleKingdom. We had Liger, Fujinami, Tiger Mask, and Great Sasuke versus Otani, Takiyawa, Sano, and Taguchi in the big 8-man tag, which was Jushin Liger hanging out with all of his old rivals and pals.
Yeah, I think, we just talk about it, but the big thing for me, I'd say I'm one of those dreaded newcomer New Japan fans. Until New Japan World existed, my exposure was very limited. But the fact that you had all these guys, they could still go. We just talked about Kojima and Nakanishi, who were, I wouldn't say stumbling through, but compare those two guys with half of this match. It was like chalk and cheese. You had guys who could go. Okay, they're just playing the greatest hits, but really, what more did you want in this match? Well, I guess someone else you did want in this match. No bloody overdubs, but I guess we couldn't have everything this weekend.
Yeah, that was the big downfall that everybody hated about this match was the overdub music. And yeah, that's the bitch in New Japan world sometimes. But yeah, I mean, this was fun. It was good. It was fun. It was, like I said, it's Liger and all of his fucking buddies. And that's like the kind of fitting match you want to give a guy going out, you know? And it was exactly what it needed to be. You know, the crowd liked seeing all these guys coming back. You had like the old ring announcer there and everything. You had one of the older referees back, and it was a big retirement party in the best way. And yep. Like you said, a lot of these guys had enough go in their game. They didn't look horrible physically. And it was fun. I mean, they played the hits. It had some emotion to it. And, you know, Liger, just as we've been talking about this whole damn retirement tour, going out like a fucking G, such a legend, does the fucking job to Taguchi. And just, he has no problem with it.
I mean, you can have people going through, this admin on air stuff, I'll check. I think in terms of his retirement tour, Liger hasn't really had that much in the way of wins. I know a lot of people were talking about, who's he going to put over big time on the way out? Well, if you looked at his last few matches, his last string of matches, they've all been undercard tags. I mean, looking now in his cage match, his last win of any kind was in Australia about 2-3 weeks back. If you're going back for like singles matches, he's those wins were not much. Like the last singles match, last few single matches, Taka Michinoku in whatever promotion he created after he got kicked out of K-Dojo, obviously Suzuki, King of Pro Wrestling, bunch of draws over in CMLL. The last guy apart from Suzuki to beat Liger one-on-one, you're looking at Scotty Davis. Now, it's a bit weird, but you've got a guy, I think Scotty's 19 now, a big star up and coming in Ireland, but out the entire retirement tour, that's the name you're looking for big guy he's really put over in the string of matches, which, to me, that doesn't sit well with me. You've got a guy who, 30 plus years in the business, world legend, etc., etc. And it's like, well, the fact that New Japan didn't pick a guy to go, right, you lose to him, that's the definitive match, that's going to push him over the line, even set seeds to make him a star in the future. The fact that they didn't do that, to me, is a bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, again, looking at cage match, Liger's singles matches, we had 14 last year, less than that in 2018, so he has been winding down with singles matches for the last little while, obviously. But yeah, to me, the fact that Liger's last losses, pretty much, that could have been used to make a new single star or put something behind someone. All we've had is a bunch of opening match tags or undercard tags, which great. It's there for giving everyone the feel good, the farewell to Jushin Thunder Liger stuff. But in terms of maybe passing the torch of that didn't seem to come to pass. I don't know if your take on that is, Larry.
Yeah, that was a little weird, because I went through the cage match the other day, and the Scotty Davis thing popped out, and I was like, I don't know a lot about him, and it's like the first reaction is, and you hate to do that, because I hate when readers do it, but my first reaction was like, fucking who? What? Really? And then I just went through it, and I was like, that is kind of shocking. I mean, you would think that maybe he would, on one of these fucking Road 2 shows or whatever, maybe he'd work a random singles and put Despy over or put Robbie Eagles over or somebody that they can give a title shot to.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go a bit further back, David Finlay, but that's one of those line break shows I haven't seen. I guess you haven't seen from 2018. This time end of 2018, he lost David Finlay. Before that, you're talking about Kenny King. Well, that means absolutely nothing. El Fantasmo, Rev Pro's J-Cup in September 2018. Well, okay, could argue that, but he hadn't even announced his retirement by then. Before then, you're looking at Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, and a guy who's pretty much excommunicated himself from all of wrestling, and Josh Bowden. So it's like, when you've got that kind of missed opportunity, I'm just hoping it's not something where he's going to come back and do maybe the tradition of a Pro Wrestling Master Circuit over in Japan, and maybe pop something over to Rambo here or there. But I don't know, just the entire farewell tour that he's had, this match and obviously the one had on day two. I can't find any criticism, but the entire way that farewell stretch was done, it does feel like a massive open goal that they didn't even think about taking a shot in.
Yeah, it came off really weird. Like, I think there was two missed opportunities. I would have liked to seen him, like I said, put over, again, like, it could be anybody, I guess, but, like, somebody that you could push for a title shot, like a Robbie Eagles or a Desperado, you know what I mean? And the other thing I really wish that they could have worked out or whatever, because I know that MLW was open to it, I really wish that he could have had a singles match with Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, so going back to Rev Pro, so this would be... they did TV tapings in the September of 2018. Their original plan was to book Brian Pillman Jr., but MLW were doing the regular TV tapings. The dates clashed. So I think instead we got Liger against Chris Brooks, which, when you look how Chris Brooks' career is now stretched into DDT of all places, it's a bit of a weird twist. But yeah, it is a bit of a missed opportunity, but the newest thing we got to that was, I believe it's a backstage photo at Pro Wrestling Experience in the Carolinas, which, it's better than nothing, but it just feels, again, there could have been so much more from that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to nitpick it to death, because, I think he did... I think his retirement tour was great in the fact that he went out on his own terms, and he was pretty much like, fuck it, I don't care if I'm losing. Because, he had so much cachet, man. He could have easily been like, listen, guys, I'm fucking going over somebody tonight. I'm pinning Yoshihashi's dumbass, okay? He could have been doing that all the time. But I find it refreshing that a legend was just like, nah, I'm good. So. And
again, we know this is wrestling where times rarely stick. I'm not holding out hope that he's going to come back, 5-10 years down the line for one-offs, but if this is it, then, great, he's gone on his own terms, and it's not been... I hate to make a comparison, but you've had guys who've gone out, forced to go out. So the fact that he's able to walk away on his own steam, and he's not gone out as, God forbid, the way Masawa did, that's all the best you can say for someone who's had just as long a career as he has in wrestling.
Exactly. So we move on to the main card. Liger's second to last match is over. We had a pair of 8-man tags here. First off, Suzuki Gun defeated LIJ 855 with Zack submitting Bushi to get some revenge for that little singles win. I thought it was a good little match. It was nothing special. These 8-man tags were frustrating, I think, for a lot of us, because I think a lot of us wanted to see Suzuki, Shingo, and especially Ishii, and something more important than matches setting up the Trios Gauntlet the next night.
Yeah, we had obviously, like I say, the impromptu singles match on the Road to Tokyo Dome show. With being teasing Shingo and Suzuki, Evil and Ishii. To me, this match and the one after it had no place on the show. You had two Tokyo Dome matches. Okay, you could argue, well, no, this one went, say 8-9 minutes, didn't have the time.
8:55.
So, just in line. Not going to have the time to have a full, say, Shingo and, v Suzuki or what have you. That's fine. But, the fact that we had 8-man tag that you get on any road to whatever show, I don't know, maybe you could have, got rid of one of these two matches, but yeah, it was a necessary evil, but it was there. The fact that Sabre won had me massively worried about today. But yeah, it was what it was. It did anything you see in any undercard on any Korakuen or any village show. Not much to say. It was in and out, was inoffensive, but yeah, you could live without watching it if you're Ham's cherry pick.
Yeah, and I get why they did them, because it was added build for this one for Sonata and Zack the next night and for the Trios Gauntlet. And that was the same for the next one because it was building Goto and Kenta and the Trios Gauntlet. But again, like you said, they just could have put them on those Road to Tokyo Dome shows and gave us a singles match here. An Ishii and an Evil, or, a Suzuki and Shingo, whatever you wanted to do. I think it would have been better, but I mean, they weren't horrible. They weren't a total waste, but I didn't need them on this show at all.
Yeah, I mean, 10 minutes, 15 offences probably. And I think telling thing a few people, I certainly noticed was in this particular match, it was Saber's music that led out the Suzuki Gun team. And, you have all the rumours of, is Minoru Suzuki leaving? If it wasn't for the Liger feud last year, he'd have gone. A lot of people were looking into that as, are they shuffling him out the back door? But, frankly, that doesn't seem to be the case. But, to me, match didn't need to be on the cards. At least we got a bit of a chuckle at the end when Sonata broke the submission at the end. Pretty much telling off Sonata for doing his crappy version of that thing while Fujinami's in the building. But, it is what it is.
Zack is not only a great professional wrestler, but he's also next level banter. He really is.
Well, I mean, the thing as well is, he's in a country that he's obviously had a lot of experience there with pro wrestling before, but you'd also have to expect that a lot of what he says, I'm not being assumptive here, but a lot of what he says probably doesn't get translated easy, I'd guess. A lot of the banter, if you're chosen the front row and it's in your native tongue, you'd pick it up. But you've got a lot of references or stuff like that that may go over people's heads. Well, I guess it's an extra Easter egg, I guess, for people watching at home or those get stuff translated.
So the next 8-man tag was Chaos defeating Bullet Club with Goto picking up the win, pinning good old Yujiro. Again, another match, like you said, didn't really need to be on the card. It was fine. I mean, at least Fale wasn't a complete lazy sack of shit in this match.
No, but I think we had a bit of a chat about this yesterday, and did Tom Hiroshi even tag in on this one? Because, it was another short match, but I do not recall him ever tagging in this match.
He never officially tagged in, but he did go in, he beat some ass, and he suplexed Fale.
So he
got
had
the big
something,
pop.
he why take bumps if your whole thing is muscling up that waste of space? But I mean, I think I called this aggressively okay. It was another match I don't get anybody wanted on the card. It was fair to pad it out, but it is what it is. There's only 2 of these, thankfully, and straight into a big old run of title matches.
That's right. So we move into the IWGP Tag Team title match. Juice Robinson and David Finlay defeating the Guerrillas of Destiny 1450 via pin. I was actually slightly shocked. I thought this would finally be the year that the champions retained and that the Guerrillas of Destiny actually won at Wrestle Kingdom. Because I thought that they were setting Juice up for the U.S. title win the next night. I was horribly wrong on both counts. And I liked the match. I thought it was good. I thought they kept the bullshit to a minimum. It was a fine story. The baby faces overcame. And again, pleasantly surprised with the result and a big win for Finlay because I joked in my preview, his biggest accomplishment prior to winning the tag titles was when he had that little Never Trios title run after Captain Cannabis Matt Sydal got busted coming to Japan.
I thought you were going to talk about the Block C trophy from a few years back.
Oh, the Block C trophy. I'm sorry, I did forget about that.
Yeah, I think this one I wasn't quite as high on. Now, obviously, a lot of people have noticed the winners of the World Tag League have gone on to win the tag titles. I mean, Christ, you've got to reward those poor sods like us who watch all of that. But I don't know, this to me just felt a little bit off. I mean, it didn't outstay its welcome, but there's just something about the whole match just didn't connect with me. I think a few years back when we had the Guerrillas and the Killer Elite Squad, that massive brawl they had, and I was in the minority event, so this is probably a me thing, but a lot of the Guerrillas matches on the big stage just don't seem to sit with me. And I mean, great, Juice and Finlay won the tag titles. it kind of keeps Juice away from, yo-yoing with the US title, as obviously we see tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I'd say this is probably the kind of thing we'd kind of want to see Hanare do, maybe a year or so down the line. Problem is, you don't really want to connect, repeat the trick with, two lots of not quite young line guys, if you know what I mean. I mean, the fact that you had Finn Juice, they pretty much ran through the entire tag league without ever being like LIJ for the longest part of that tour. It felt like they're going to run the whole field, and it's going to be dead easy for them. For this, it felt like they worked for it. But yeah, my interest now is this going to be another false dawn with the tag division, or is it just going to be Gorillas and Finn Juice? Because results late in the weekend, maybe removing another team from that perennial equation.
I don't know your feeling on this, but I've been pushing for at least 3 years that they should just scrap these two fucking divisions and do one open weight tag division. Because they don't have two full tag divisions.
There was that rumor a few years back, and this is back when you had the Briscoes and the Young Bucks as the two champions. And I think they were teasing that unification match, and they never unified the belts. But like, you look for two tag divisions, like obviously for heavyweight tag, you've got the Gorillas, LIJ, would have been the Killer Elite Squad, but Davey Boy Smith Jr. is gone. Now you had Finn Juice. Who else is really realistically in the mix? Ishii and Yoshihashi, well, that blows hot and cold. Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., again, those are more makeshift teams. And so, to me, it just feels like you've got two tag divisions which you're batting with belts across the same teams. And obviously, we'll talk about junior tags on today's show. But yeah, it just, like I say, it feels like it's a roster that isn't fully fleshed out. And it's almost like WWF in the mid-90s, where you had a lot of tag teams which were, give me two singles guys we're not doing anything with.
Yeah, I really felt this way after the Road 2 show, when it was Ospreay and Ishii in a tag against, I think it was Evil and Hiromu. And I fucking loved that match. I thought it was great. And I'm just like, this is great evidence to do an open weight tag division, because you could... Yeah. You can mix so many things up because you have so many stables of guys. If Will's moving to heavyweight, you could still do the Birds of Prey on occasion. And if Will's too busy actually being a big single star, you can do fucking throw Yoshihashi in the fucking bin, tag Robbie Eagles with Ishii. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff, and I think you could do a lot of fun tag matches, because like Bushi and Hiromu don't need to be a junior tag team. Put Bushi and Evil together or something, or Bushi and Sonata, and mix the LIJ stuff up a little bit. I think you would actually be able to create a much easier open weight division with an actual roster of teams than trying to field two divisions that are generally shit and not deep at all.
I mean, you had that run early in the year where the Gorillas and the Punky 3K were up against each other. Okay, they snuck out at undercard tag wins, so it's not entirely out of the realm of impossibility, but at the same time, I honestly think that New Japan, they really get off on, especially on the WrestleKingdom shows, everything has to be for something. Like, we had, especially if it's not a titles match, it's a special singles match or what have you, and to me, that's fine in terms of, all your match graphics. It's not just, Johnny Boots and Tights against Johnny Kickpads, but at the same time, when you have too many belts, like these tag titles, was it February they won, and you had a few defenses, but those belts have largely been MIA this year. Christ, even the Gorillas have been MIA for quite a few tours this year. So, to me, it was an argument for getting rid of the belts, which is a lot stronger than keeping them, but unfortunately, that's not the way New Japan works.
And I always go back to this. You would think with Gato and Jado booking, you would think that they could book tag team divisions. And they don't. It always dumbfounds me that you have tag team specialists as your bookers and they can't book tag divisions to save their life.
I think that, again, problem is, we've had this long stretch with guys leaving. That's not an excuse, but at the same time, you do have to wonder just how much of this is them not knowing or having to constantly adjust to the single scene. Now, I know in terms of tag teams, we've had that the big hoovering up of talent with WWE and AEW. There's not that many big tag teams out there unless you're going to start going and bringing in the foreign tag teams, and around that many of those left. What can you do? I mean, I believe for the World Tag League that wrapped up last year, Aussie Open, they've done gangbusters over here, but unfortunately Mark Davis injured his knee. He's out for, I believe, best part of the year. So that's one change they weren't really planning on having to accommodate for. But yeah, it just, like I say, it just feels like there's an absolute dearth of tag teams in New Japan. I think that kind of shows when you look at the teams who've been batting with the titles back and forth.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I try not to beat the dead horse about it, but it unfortunately is what it is, and it's probably going to stay that way. So next up, Texas Deathmatch, U.S. title. Jon Moxley defeated the champion Lance Archer 15-22 after Moxley put him through a table on the floor. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So, this was one, I think the general fee beforehand was this was going to be kind of like the Junior 4-way we had a year or two back, where it went all over Tokyo Dome and was an absolute pain to follow unless you were watching on VOD. I kind of enjoyed this one. It was a plunder match, but it wasn't like I'll hit you with a chair, I'll hit you with a bin lid. I did kind of like Lance Archer coming out like he was getting ready to perform Stomp, but yeah. The one thing I noticed, and I've noticed with quite a few of these plunderific matches lately, you start to get a lot of, well, not a lot, but a fair degree of inventiveness. It's not just the the bog standard death match, hitting each other head, the same thing. Gabriel Cage, who we shouted out earlier on, at one point in the match, Archer actually chokeslammed onto Moxley on the outside, which it's been a long while since I've seen someone actually thrown around like that. I think this one they kept pretty much around ringside, which was great in terms of not having fans scattering, what have you. But yeah, losing the belt after 1-2 defenses, I think that just kind of tell you this was just kind of circling back to where we would have been, had the typhoon not hit for King of Pro Wrestling back in October.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. I thought they made everything look really brutal. I thought they played the stipulation well. I also agree with what you're saying. Like, they didn't go everywhere, which I did kind of enjoy, because sometimes those matches just become such of a pain in the ass to actually focus on and see what they're doing. And you sometimes also lose the crowd too, because if there's not good video screens and stuff like that, they can't follow what's going on. The other thing I loved is, while it did have like the knockout 10 count stipulation gimmick to it, they didn't do like 900 false counts. That is the worst thing in like the last man standing style match, is like you hit a body slam and you stand up and the referee's in there counting. It's like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, I mean, they kept it simple. Everything meant something. The only thing they're kind of exposing, it's maybe worth calling out, the camera work on these shows. Not quite up to New Japan's usual par. I mean, there's quite a few cases where the production was cutting to the back of the referee, for instance, through the ropes. And there was one thing that got a lot of people poking fun at it. Volsnice and Moxley towards the end of the match. I know.
He was throwing some Dark Order knee strikes, man.
Yeah, I mean, hang on 1 second.
No problem, man. I'll let you, compose yourself, coughing over there. But yeah, it's that you bring up a really good point, because New Japan is usually really, really good with their production stuff. They almost never miss big spots. But there was a lot of weird instances on these two Dome shows where that happened, and it was jarring at times because you're not really used to it. It would almost be like, I rag on WWE a fair bit for a lot of the things they do wrong, but like WWE video packages are, despite what you may think of some of the angles, are always really great. It would be like them throwing out like a total dog shit video package. You'd be shocked. To where, New Japan is usually so on point with these camera shots. And I noticed that, like, in some of my the coverage threads, a lot of people were bringing that up, that they were like, what happened? Did they switch, like, camera guys or, like, a new network or whatever? They were like, a lot of people were, like, really confused, like, they got a new director or whatever. So, yeah, it was not something to just, like, you or I noticed. I noticed a lot of that. I saw it on Twitter, too. So, definitely an off weekend.
Yeah, I mean, going back with the stuff with the knees, yeah, just felt a bit weird how, maybe it's a new and experienced director, but usually that kind of stuff you'd expect, this first one was massive amount of daylight, stop the camera angles, but yeah, they kept throwing, and it just looked absolutely rotten. But I mean, again, if we'd picking apart, a couple of knees that didn't quite connect as the big full part of the match, then can't have been too bad, eh?
Yeah, I agree. So I really enjoyed this. Lance Archer had a really good 2019 overall. Very unexpected, I think, especially for a guy about to turn 43 who had a major back surgery, and some thought he was never coming back from that. So that was a really cool story, I thought, going into 2020. So, and I hope he gets featured a good bit in 2020, especially like on all these US shows they're going to run.
I mean, yeah, the talk, I think just for the show was, I forget which outlet it was, so apologies for not crediting you, but there was an interview I heard, or at least saw the headline on, and we're going on about how, Lance is only on a 2-2 contract, which to me is a bit...
That was my website, I think.
Oh, apologies then, obviously. I saw the tweet, but people don't credit these days, so yeah. Also on 411, question Archer with being on a 2-2 contract. To me, that's kind of terrifying if you're a New Japan fan, because obviously you've got WWE and AEW who perennially looking to snap up talent. Obviously Archer had that big, the massive run in WWE ECW 10, 12 years ago, and I would almost argue that in AEW there maybe isn't a place for him, at least not one that would have any kind of longevity. I could see maybe being used as a goon for MJF or what have you, in that the ongoing what have you of Cody Rhodes. But yeah, I would almost argue that being the the big intimidating scary fucker in Suzuki Gun in New Japan, who gets a few spotlight matches, may be best for him, especially he really stands out from the pack in New Japan, whereas in AEW and WWE, whichever brand you put him on, I wouldn't suspect that'd be the case.
Yeah, I was shocked to learn that myself. I don't understand how you don't have him locked up to some kind of contract. Especially after he proved that he could go this year. I mean, he had some really great matches this year. He had some matches with Ospreay and stuff that I loved, and it just seems ludicrous because he's everything they want Fale to be. He's a big fucker, he scares people, but he can actually deliver. Look in the last 10 years, Fale's delivered a handful of times, and those were always against Okada, Tanahashi, Nakamura types, who could drag him to something watchable. And those were not even great. They were like good and sometimes very good, if that. He's like everything they should really want in a monster guy.
And again, you could argue with Fale, maybe he's gotten too big, whether it's the case he's just gotten too big or whether it's the case of, he's maybe taken the whole monster thing a bit too seriously. But, yeah, I think with Archer, I don't think the tank's anywhere near empty. I just question that big question mark over Suzuki Gun. Is that going to be having a big effect of him the rest of the year, for the foreseeable future? If Suzuki's sticking around or if he isn't, what happens with that Suzuki Gun faction? So yeah, I think what happens with Lance Archer in New Japan 2020 is going to be very interesting to see, because a lot of that could be dictated by other people, whose own future's up in the air.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find out some of that stuff soon. It is that contract season. A lot of people moving on, but we're going to start to get into some of the real business part of the card here, the big stuff, Ian. We got Hiromu Takahashi making his WrestleKingdom return. He worked the Road 2 shows. He was looking really good on those. Took a bunch of losses. He defeats Will Ospreay to win the championship just under 25 minutes. And I think everybody had really high hopes because Will had, I think it's safe to say, an amazing 2019. And we all knew that if Hiromu was even 75-80% of what he was, that these two have such great chemistry that we could be in for a great match. And I think that they crushed expectations here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the big favourites a lot of people had with Hiromu, obviously he had the comeback, and a few people said, well, people who come back from injury very rarely win their first match in, so yeah, that's understandable. I think the big question mark was just, would Hiromu pair back at all on his usual style? And frankly, that wasn't the case. I mean, I think from the off, he was just an absolute nutjob. I mean, that peacock jacket, for one thing, just seemed to be... I don't know. I mean, there's a guy who wrestles over here, Rob Elias, whose ring jacket is, give me every colour, put it on one jacket, I'll wear it. This was that, but on acids and on steroids. I think with Hiromu, I think he was going very early on to show, he wasn't missing a step. He wasn't doing the stuff Ibushi would do later, like landing on his head, but he was trying to stick to his usual style, the usual pace. This one I thought, started straight, really hot, didn't let down. The big folks, I think you're going to have this for a little while anyway, was everyone working Hiromu's neck, which I could have done without that or as much of it. I think, that's going to be the easy target, especially, when Hiromu's going up against stick heels. You can get a lot of people going for the neck, kind of like everyone's been doing with Honma, but, someone who's a lot more likable with the crowd these days. There's one sequence in the match which blew everyone's mind. I'm guessing you can guess which I'm talking about. The Sasuke special with all the flips in between, then ending up. It was Will Ospreay hasn't been in the UK much in 2019. He's supposed to come back over, but seeing him live is one thing. But Christ, on tape when he's produced and caught right, this man's an absolute monster. And don't be skewing people's end of year ballots, but if he's not high up on your Wrestler of the Year ballot, then I want to know what wrestling you're watching, because it's clearly better than this.
Yeah, I understand personal preference, but I still don't get the people that are trying to tell me that. Like, I read a comment because there was the report that Will apparently suffered some kind of ankle injury in the match, and so I guess whoever posted it on our site. They posted that clip of the spot we're talking about where he went for the Sasuke special. Then they basically, like, Hiromu caught him, was going to do a German. Will backflipped out. Hiromu bellied him into the ring, and then Will hit the Sasuke special finally. And it's an amazing spot. And somebody goes, well, I see Will's just doing fucking gymnastics still. Nothing will ever change. That was a 10-second part of that match. So, I'm sorry you didn't watch the match if that's all you're saying, because this was fucking magnificent. These two are great together. Will was really good working that aggressive. He was basically working heel. He was being a dick. He was, I'm not your friend anymore. It was very similar to the stuff he did with Amazing Red in the J Cup. Will has not only grown as a performer, like physically, but like mentally as well. But he knows when to take the right role to maximize a match layout. And he knew his role here was that everybody was going to love Hiromu. The natural play was to work the neck. They did that. And the story was Hiromu surviving, showing his resilience, and coming back. It all made sense. They built to an amazing home stretch. And if all you're going to do is bitch about one 10-second fucking segment and claim that all we did was gymnastics for 25 minutes, you didn't watch the whole match. Because I'm sorry, you didn't. I had high expectations for this one, man. I'm telling you. They killed it here. I thought it was a great emotional ride with Hiromu finally winning, busting out a new finisher, which apparently is called Time Bomb number 2. And I just thought it was amazing. I went to full 5 on it. I loved it, every minute of it.
Yeah, absolute same here. I mean, again, anyone can criticize short clips of anything. I mean, wrestling at its whole is gymnastics. It's whether it's stuff that's improvised on the fly or whether it's the way DDP used to set out move for move for move. It's a contrived series of moves, but is simulating combat pretty much. And if you want to put that as everyone's favorite Suzuki elbows, or this 10-second clip of Ospreay flying around, hitting the same move, a lot of stuff in between. It's personal preference, but I do think Ospreay, rightly for wrong, does get a fair bit of stick, but a lot of that is people looking at to use the term, the actor and the person behind it. I mean, maybe it's me, unless you talk about stuff where not being renamed too much Benoit, but unless it's stuff where it's absolutely ruined the guy's reputation, I try and keep the person and the performer completely separate, because when I'm paying my money to watch them live or subscribe on VOD, etc., I'm paying to see Will Ospreay, the performer, not Will Ospreay, the man behind it, for one better word.
Yeah, I get that. And I know a lot of people don't like Will because I guess he's like a dick on Twitter or stupid on Twitter. I don't know. I don't follow him. And that's fine. I mean, you can hate the fucking guy all you want. But I mean, I think to diminish what he did in 2019, though, is just, you're doing that just to be spiteful, It's crazy. I don't know. And again, I understand not everybody likes the same people. And we're to get into some of that next, because this next match was very decisive throughout the internet. I saw ratings as low as 1 star. I saw people claiming it was a 5-star plus match. Jay White and Tetsuya Naito.
So I'm sitting somewhere in the middle on this one. I'm not the world's biggest Jay White fan. When he was over here, I would say he was on excursion, but he had a good few matches over here in the UK. He was fine. The Bullet Club leader, Jay White, does nothing for me. I think the comparison I made in one of my reviews was that he's turning into New Japan's Jeff Jarrett.
That's a good one. I watched and reviewed a lot of TNA.
Yeah, he's fine when you've got him in a spot like the undercard tags or what have you, where he's building up to stuff. He's a bit of a shit ass. He's needling everyone. He's doing he's pushing everyone's buttons. That's great. The problem that I'm finding with him is a lot of these big-time, longer matches, there's just something missing still, and I don't know whether it's because the excursion he had didn't teach him a bit, or whether because he came straight back into a top spot. Now, I think this one, check on our friend's cage match, this one went
33-45.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah. It felt every single one of those. Yeah, I mean, and if you write down like the storyline, ignore who did, but you write down the story of the match. Jay White worked the knees, kept working the knees, then stopped. Then you had the Brigado bullshit. That's fair enough. But I think the fact that when we all knew, hey, Okada and Ibushi's in the main event, they're going along. We didn't need 13 plus minutes of Jay White, and I could see that would be the bit that turns people off, especially when using the Jeff Jarrett analogy, you knew you were going to get all the Gado stuff. You knew you were going to get the ref bumps. And it's like, I can handle that. Maybe not in my New Japan, but I can handle that in a match if it's going 10, 15 minutes and you have that kind of bullshit. Great. But when when I've sat here for half an hour, okay, in the UK it's a much more palatable time, but Christ, for guys on the West Coast, you're talking the wee small hours of the morning. If you've sat there for half an hour and then you get that kind of finishing stretch, I can understand why a lot of people are turning on them. But I think, cover this on the Sunday show. With Jay White, it does feel like a lot of the stuff is playing out, and going to spoil results. Bullet Club won one match for the whole weekend, which obviously was a missed one for him. But to me, it just feels like maybe this particular form of Bullet Club with him on top, I wouldn't be surprised if that's dying out, because I know New Japan are big on the prevailing factions and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this version of Jay White, there needs to be a whole lot of evolution away from this for me. But the in-ring is fine. It's everything else that drags it down.
Yeah, I'm also very much in the middle on this one. I went like 3.5 on it. I thought, obviously, Naito winning was the right call. The positives of this match were I thought it was a smart change of pace stylistically following Will and Hiromu. Because you had to have something different coming down from that. They did do good things in this match. I liked a lot of the things they were telling and building to storyline-wise. But it really started to drag. It really overstayed his welcome. I never bought Jay White was winning. I didn't need the low blow festival. And it never hooked me in on like a level of caring about it. Like technically, I thought it was very good in execution, but it needed editing. It didn't need to be 34 minutes.
I mean, going back to how divisive this was, having a quick look on the Grapple app, and it's just crossed 600 ratings. Average of 4 stars near enough, which, and again, it's not showing the whole lot, but you're getting a lot of people going 4, above 4. So this, to me, saying God over here, it was a Marmite match. Some people absolutely loved it, a lot of people hated it. I know there's a few people I know whose opinions I trust absolutely love Jay White. Just isn't doing it for me. And I think when you've got a couch like that who's that divisive in terms of his output, that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, had that, John Cena, had that with Roman Reigns. As a character, they're doing all the bits that tick the boxes, but if their character's not connecting in that way with the crowd, ultimately it doesn't end well.
Yeah, so they announced the attendance at 40,008. And that led to our main event to close up night 1. Okada defeating Ibushi. As we all knew it was going to be long. 39-15 via pin. I think we were pretty much the same opinion on this, but your thoughts on this one?
Everything that Jay White and Naito wasn't, this was. But again, I can also see why some people maybe a bit love to go with 4-5. With Okada, you know what you're getting. Most of his singles matches now, slow start, build up, a lightning finishing round, and that tends to sway a lot of people. It swayed me. But again, I knew, if you know what you're going to get, it's like, if you're going to a pizza place, okay, you can get a pizza. It might not be the kind you like, but it's usually a good shot it is. I think with this, it just felt like, because, the Intercontinental title, in the grand scheme of things, meant absolutely nothing. The IWGP belt, you had Ibushi, he won with G1, and I honestly thought he was going to be winning this. But I think again, once Naito won, it's like, well, yeah, they're probably keeping those two away from each other. After the head drop fest they had last year. I think Ibushi, is absolutely phenomenal. Had a fair bit of offense in. I did like how in this match Okada started being a dick slowly, and becoming increasingly not fully turning a heel, but kind of being a bit more of a bully than we're more used to seeing with him. And Ibushi got the what I call the Terminator Ibushi, where he would just simply stop registering stuff even after he landed his own goddamn head. Which, I mean, fair play to him, he's getting more and more inventive and finding ways to land on his head. He's now doing it without anybody needing to throw it, which, he must not like feeling anything below his neckline. That's all I can think.
Apparently not. Yeah, that was like the one weird spot, because if you haven't seen the match, Ibushi's making his big comeback and he goes to do the Pele, the backflip kick, and he goes to do it, and like, either he just didn't jump far enough, or Okada was a foot back farther than he thought, and he goes and he flips and he lands on his head, and Okada quickly grabs his legs, and they go on, and he's fucking fine and goes on for like another 15 minutes. But it's holy shit, dude.
I mean, I think a few people I saw compared to those botched styles clashes you had in the past. it was just someone, doing a backflip. Well, in this case, it was him doing a backflip and literally standing on his own goddamn head. I do think, again, this pushed nearly 40 minutes. Could have done have been maybe a minute or two less, but again, this did not feel as long as the 33, the Jay White match did. One thing I would say, and there's been a lot of talk about this since the double gold dash was first even talked up. The big disservice I think they had was having it where you had the two champions going against each other, because as soon as you had the four people involved, instantly you knew that the final match on day 2 was absolutely, just to a point. I don't think you're going to get Jay White and Kota Ibushi as the main event to wrap it up. With some combinations, I think people are just throwing off the table as that absolutely is not main eventing the biggest show, or the main event of the biggest weekend New Japan's had in recent history. This was the card's best. I think in terms of Ibushi, probably unfortunate time for him. He had signed the contract last year, got the big push, and end up coming out, really, since the double gold dash started, since I was announced, he felt like he was the, perennially going to be, the bridesmaid, never the bride in this whole thing. He was there. He was the guy with the briefcase, but he never really felt front and center in the whole thing, which just feels weird, for a guy who won the G1 to be fourth in a list of 4. I don't know if they're ever going to do this again. Probably going to have to wait for 2025 when you've got the next weekend Wrestle Kingdom. But when you've got a guy who beat a card to qualify for G1 final, and then I'm not saying he didn't put up a fight, but to then just lose and not feeling special, I don't know. That just feels a bit too collateral damage to my taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I understand why, spoiler for night 2, obviously. I understand why they went with the Naito arc and everything, but part of me I really felt it should have been Ibushi, for the simple fact that, people don't realize the fact that Ibushi and Naito are the same age. Except Naito physically looks like he's 60. Because he's, don't get me wrong, this man can still deliver, and I've talked about it several times, and we'll talk about it on night 2. He delivers in big matches still. But you cannot discount the fact that the tape on the knees is heavier. You can tell he can't work out his upper body as much because of his neck. There's not a ton of mileage left on Naito. Meanwhile, Ibushi is the same age, and while he lands on his head when he shouldn't and stuff, the man looks like a Greek god. He doesn't look like he's 37. And, I hope that they don't waste time and possibly wait too long like they did with Naito with Ibushi, because you're to ruin those prime years. But the match, though, I loved. I thought it was incredible. I thought the pacing, unlike Jay White and Naito, was spectacular, because this match to me never felt slow or dragged. It was violent and brutal in all the right ways. I liked Okada digging deep into his bag of tricks, not only being a dick, but busting out red ink and some other stuff that he hasn't used in forever, because I think that shows good desperation against a really good opponent. And I thought Ibushi's resiliency, and like you mentioned, the Terminators, I love when he does that, and someone starts hitting him, and this fucker just stands there, does not move, and has a 1,000-yard stare. I thought it was a really special performance from both guys. I thought it built well throughout. You mentioned the closing stretch, out of this world. I bought into Ibushi winning a lot, many, many times. I kept thinking it was going to be over. So the believability thing in the story I thought was great. And I think for me, the best way to describe this match to a lot of people is it felt like a great mix of Okada versus Tanahashi mixed with Nakamura and Ibushi. It kind of fit in a lot of all those themes into one match, and might be another reason I loved it so much.
And I think, again, not to be that guy who, always has to, tie into people who've left. There's a lot of stuff in there from Ibushi that, brought back, Kenny Omega stuff. So stuff like him collapsing out for wave rainmakers, from V triggers and all that. Now, whether that's intentional, if it's just a hey, he was Taguchi does for the Bumie and what have you for Nakamura. That's something that to me, as long as commentary didn't mention, oh hey, it's Kenny Omega's old moves, etc. To me, I'm fine with him throwing it in as like a nod to his past. But I just thought it was interesting how that was getting more and more included in the matches as time went on, as more of like a desperation kind of play.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. I like that as well. It's, again, a lot of layers to this, but an absolutely excellent match. And it's just, again, that's... I went the full 5 on that, and I know as reviewers, the joke among reviewers, if you guys don't know, is we always joke about the 5-star fear. It's funny with the 5-star rating because you will have people that will just, I decided I love that match, 5 stars, and no excuse to it. And then you'll have like the opposite end of the thing. You'll have a guy that'll like, man, this match was really, really great, but I just can't go 5. I just can't pull the trigger. But again, they don't have a reason why. So it's always funny, but I had no 5-star fear on night 1, man.
No, I mean, again, me and you, we stick to the traditional 5. Dave Meltzer's probably up to 20 by now. I guess we'll see when he comes back from Japan. But yeah, again, I think it's one of these, if this encapsulates the whole story, I would have been happy if you had just for one Wrestle Kingdom, this was the main event. G1 winner against Naito, against Okada, sorry. But the fact that you had, this then playing into stuff from the second night, it was almost like it was a main course that really should have been a starter.
Yeah. So, overall, though, I thought night 1 was pretty excellent. I enjoyed it overall. You get 2 5-baggers on the same show and a lot of other good stuff. The Liger stuff mixed in. Thought night 1 was just a pretty big home run, and it was one of those, how are they going to top it on night 2 things?
And unfortunately, I think compared to night 1, night 2 maybe didn't quite live up to expectations, and I think a lot of that, I would say a lot of matches maybe didn't deliver as much as we thought they were going to.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. So we move on to night 2. We opened up with the Never Openweight Trios Gauntlet with Kevin Kelly burying the Never Openweight titles, saying he was looking on milk cartons for the titles, and I laughed because he's absolutely right.
Well, I mean, you had the Road to Tokyo Dome tour. 2 of those belts surfaced. The third one you couldn't find with a search party. It's like, when you've got those belts, to me, they were brought in 4 years ago. Just what use is there for them? I mean, okay, you've got Bullet Club, Suzuki Gun, LIJ, Chaos, the home team, what have you, where you could conceivably put 3 men teams forward. That's never happened. These trios belts have been at most card fillers. Like the fact that last year was in pre-show, this year was pre-show, like pretty much guarantee outside of maybe Fantastic Mania when those cards get announced, you're probably not going to see much from these belts until maybe Destruction Bipu if that runs again.
Maybe. Yeah, it's, I don't, those to me were, you had all this stables as you mentioned, and like in theory the Neverweight six-man title should have been something that you can throw in a main event of these 800 Road 2 shows you run. A little something special, And obviously they're not like a big title, but like, hey, look, it's Evil, Bushi, and Sonata facing off with, whoever. And, and you get something that actually feels a little important on these Road 2 shows instead of the same 8-man tag that they'll run like 3 nights in a row sometimes.
I mean, just looking now on Cage Match, so last year, that pre-show from Wrestle Kingdom was for a shot at these, which, I mean, there's something else that's absolutely useless. A gauntlet for a shot at belts, which mean nothing. But you had 2 matches in January, 1 in February at Honor Rising, rest in peace. 1 at a random Road to Dontaku show, 1 in June at Kazuna Road, one at I think it's New Japan Road in October, and then nothing till this. So 6 matches in one calendar year, and all but one of them at Corkin, which just make that belt a damn Corkin exclusive title if that's where you're going to be. I mean, I'm not saying these need to be every night like WWE fakes title matches on house shows, but yeah, these belts have never felt less important, and they didn't mean that much when they first came on the scene.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, LIJ, which was Shingo Evil, and Bushi won the titles 23-25. It was a perfectly solid pre-show match.
Yeah,
with a bad referee.
Yeah, I was just about to say the fact that when the big talking point this was the referee. I mean, was the first 10 seconds Farley nearly put away Robbie Eagles with the bad luck fall in the first 10 seconds, and they have to hold up the count, and it didn't pick much from there. I mean, I know, is it Jeremy Young, his LA Dojo ref or trainee from there, and I know there's a few people saying last year we had Chris Roberts, then ref pro referees now, part of NXT UK, and that endless warehouse full of talent. But the fact that you've got a referee on the pre-show and you've got 2 mistakes, which, if you noticed, the second one was Evil pinning Ishii after the Darkness Falls, which is the first time in a while that thinks even the C finisher has won a match. And we noticed after then everyone was making damn sure they kicked out at ones were near falls, not 2 counts, which. Yeah, it might be wild before we see him back on the big stage, but hopefully this isn't something that they rip him mercilessly over anyway.
Yeah, so that was our lone pre-show match, and then we got into the main card, the Jushin Liger last match, which saw Hiromu Takahashi and Ryu Lee facing Liger and Naoki Sano. Dragon Lee, the lone ROH representative on this show, showing off the ROH TV title and not even really mentioned, so that was something. That just shows you how good that whole thing's going.
Well, I mean, you had the AEW belt on the show as well, and obviously the Ref Pro title, but I don't know, that Ring of Honor relationship, that has been on troubled waters for a while now, and the fact, obviously, Honor Rising is not even in the books this year. I don't know what to tell you. Ring of Honor as a brand seems to have been struggling for a while, and the fact that now New Japan, I don't think it was going to be a big bang of them going, right, screw you guys, we're taking all your wrestlers. You're still going to get like your Jeff Cobbs with the Ring of Honor logo on the Chiron, what have you. But the fact that you had their television champion, their belt was just about mentioned passing by Chris Charlton. But at the same time, Ryu Lee coming out with a Los Ingobernables baseball jersey with Dragon Lee on. I mean, come on. Okay, I know from experience personalised jerseys like that aren't cheap, but at the same time, stick with your new name, stick with your gimmick. Don't come into New Japan and pretend to be, Ring of Honor's cosplay LIJ when you're in a promotion that's got, certainly a real deal than what you're playing as.
Yeah, an Ingobernables stable with Kenny King. Kenny fucking King.
The guy who won the Honor Rumble, and then everyone just went, okay, what's next? I mean, nothing against him, but you get a lot of guys in, if you follow any promotion long enough, you get guys who are there who, dare I make a comparison, Hanare could end up being the Kenny King of New Japan if that breakout year doesn't happen.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's just... but anyway, this was the Liger retirement match. Takahashi and Ryu Lee won 12-20 via pin. Teased a little dissension between Lee and Takahashi. A little miscommunication here during the match. I joked, I was talking with Cubs fan. We were breaking down and talking about the various Ingobernables stables, and I wondered how odd the Ingobernables Christmas party was with Hiromu and Lee hanging out after the whole broken neck thing.
Well, there's been better friendships, I imagine, but I mean, it's obvious, this whole match was, enemies from 30 years ago against, sworn enemies today. I wouldn't be surprised if New Japan actually hold off Hiromu and Dragon Lee for a while, though. I'm not saying they're going to ease him in slowly, but Hiromu and Dragon Lee is the big money match, you'd have to say. And I wouldn't be shocked if they hold that off till Wrestle Kingdom next year.
Yeah, they should definitely hold it off, at least for a while. Plus the fact that, you can give Hiromu an early, easy title defense because Robbie Eagles pinned him on the Road 2 shows.
Absolutely, and I think as well, we talk about the tag ranks being a bit starved. But you look at the juniors, was quite a lot there, Sean Yo, okay, they spoil a bit later on win the tag titles. If you want to, give them individual shots, you can. There's plenty in there, but I think you kind of want to do what we just had with Okada and Naito with these two, especially with, hopefully not jinxing it, but especially with what happened in their last match. I think you want to wait a long time and build that up rather than just throw it out on a, New Beginning in Sapporo, that kind of show.
Yeah, definitely. We don't need that on Wrestling Hino Kuni or anything like that, man. We need that's a major show match. But Liger does the honors, losing to Hiromu, which I think obviously the right call with Hiromu as champion. And it was the battle of one generation from the early '90s that helped set the stage for the early days of the junior stuff to today's feud. I thought it was a nice full circle thing. Good match. Sano worked hard, and dude's like 50 something. He only worked like 18 times in the last year. I mean, God, you can't ask much more for him. So I thought he looked good. I thought it was fun, and yeah, it's just it's a sad day because Liger's done, and he killed the English stream as well.
Well, that's Eric Stevens at work, you'd have to say. He went off on everyone for wanting English commentary. Well, there you go. You had the free count on Liger, English feed died to death, and for quite a few people, I was able to get it back up about a minute or two with the Japanese feed. But for a lot of people, this kind of wiped out the next match. And again, that surprised me because this show was on, I'd say, a bit more in sociable hour than night one. But again, I guess that just shows the real draw of Jushin Thunder Liger, that you had that many people wanting to watch his farewell, that it just completely killed, especially, it didn't kill the whole website, it just killed the English language feed. So if you have that many people, I don't know whether they clicked on, just to see the farewell or whether it was just a coincidence, but yeah, fitting end to, the career of a guy who brought, I would dare say, a lot of Western eyes onto this product.
Yeah, it definitely. I lost the English stream on that, and had to get the Japanese feed, which that was fine. But I checked on the American, the English feed a couple times, and it came back up, but it was also moving really slow.
That's weird because mine came back. I think it was during the entrance of the next match. I had no such issues, so I don't know whether that was just plain dumb luck. I didn't actually close the dead feed. It was just a case I left it on the background. And as soon as I heard, Japanese and English against each other, I knew just X out the Japanese one. But yeah, I did hear a lot of people having issues if you're using the Fire TV app. That was an absolute no-no. And it got to the point where I saw plenty of screenshots of folks who were watching through, we'll say, other sources. And we were talking about numbers well into the hundreds. And you do have to wonder, the biggest show of the year, the fact that I think it was about half an hour of the feed was down for to some extent. How much damage has that done, especially for all those new fans who've signed up for this?
Yeah, that was definitely not a good look. Add that into the questionable camera work we talked about as well. Not the best weekend for those issues to be happening.
Absolutely not. But again, you could argue they had all the different testing, but it'll be interesting to see, when it comes out, whether it's, Dave or whoever, however many new subscribers they've had, whether this was, insane server load, or whether it's just one of those things, maybe someone tripped on one of the feeds from the commentary team, and just the fallback is no audio, we just don't do anything.
Yeah, I think Gato or Jado tripped over the modem cord in the back, man. I don't know. It was not good.
What I was missing was Gabe tweeting how was the stream, but there's a throwback for you.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. WrestleMania weekend sometimes was the worst for that stuff. So we moved on to our first title match of the evening, IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. Roppongi 3K, talking about going back to the well, retained the titles 1440, beating El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. So this was the story of the babyfaces finally getting their revenge after losing the titles and winning Tag League to get back here. And also Show screwing over Phantasmo and stopping his months of dick punching. Because Show was a smart individual and wore a cup.
Show and Yo the smartest wrestlers in wrestling, it seems, because I've seen my fair share of Phantasmo live. No, I wouldn't say we're close, but we have not big connection, but something anyway. But the fact that you had all these stick punches, whether it's Rev Pro, New Japan, Super Jacob, etc., and it takes Show and Yo, were they saving for the gold and silver nut cups? I mean, it seems to me, if that's the thing that's, saving you from, getting the titles back, maybe colour coordination should be after having your dicks being punched, but I digress. But this, it was a decent match to me. It felt like it had big trouble. Obviously, after the Liger match, the air just completely escaped the Tokyo Dome, as it was. I mean, it wasn't quite on the level of Flair, Shawn Michaels, because everyone knew this was the farewell. But to me, it felt like the crowd was massively subdued after that, and just cause. But again, this goes back to what we said earlier about the lack of depth in the tag leagues, in the tag divisions. So the junior tag teams now, so obviously Roppongi 3K won the belts back, fourth reign. But if you go back through the last few champions, Roppongi 3K, Phantasmo Ishimori, Roppongi 3K, Bushi and Shingo, Despy and Kanemaru, Roppongi 3K. Then you're going back to the Young Bucks 2 years ago. Then Roppongi 3K again, Ricochet and Taguchi, Young Bucks. So you're just going back. It's like, guys who aren't there anymore. I mean, I'm looking now, Young Bucks, Red Dragon, Young Bucks, Roppongi Vice. Like, for the junior division has mirrored the heavyweight, and to me, I don't know if they can go this route, but they've got to think of maybe merging the belts, because, you've been batting back and forth. I mean, you've just bounced the belts between, Phantasmo and Ishimori, Roppongi 3K. You'd imagine it would be the obligatory rematch at some point down the line, but, I mean, who else is there? Desperado and Kanemaru? We just had the Super Junior Tag League, and I was saying, the fact that you had to get a few import teams, CMLL. Just looking now, you had Titan Volador, Tiger Mask, Yu. Well, those aren't regular teams. Clark Connors, TJP, Ospreay if he's been moved up. It's like you've got such a dearth of teams. The natural answer, I'd feel, is you get rid. But again, I just don't know how you get from Roppongi 3K overcome being constantly punched in the balls to we say goodbye to one set of tag titles.
I don't know how they do it. I think they should do it. I agree that I think they had trouble getting the crowd into it because they were just the Liger thing, man. They were just, we don't want to watch wrestling anymore. This sucks. But I thought that I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good story. I thought the work was good. I liked 3K getting their revenge and actually outsmarting the heels. And they busted out a new finisher because they've been watching their Lucha Brothers tapes. Because they basically did the stuff pile driver double stomp finish with the shock arrow instead. So I like the new finish, though. I think that's good.
I mean, be fair, the 3K just... it didn't seem to be as impactful. It's like, if this is a new run, like if they lose the belts at New Beginning and wherever, then we can have the argument again. But I think, new finisher, that does kind of signify they're probably going to be the aces for junior tag division. But it was a good match. Took crowd a while to get in, but be expected. Can we please stop batting these titles amongst the same few people, because it's No, it's making this division very much useless at this point.
It really is. And that's a shame, because obviously, like, Roppongi 3K, really talented. Ishimori and Phantasmo are talented once you get past all the dick punching and back raking. Although I will say, I did laugh when Phantasmo decided to do a rope walk and moonsault into a back rake.
He is an absolutely glorious dickhead.
He is. He really is.
Like,
so.
I know back rakes, I mean, Austin Aries, gets brought from back into consciousness a few years back, but all those Bullet Club undercard tags where you had Ishimori, Phantasmo, whoever else, I swear Farley did one, maybe not for top rope, obviously, but just where they can into a back rake. You've got to love a dickhead like that.
The back rake has come back big in 2019, 2020, because, like, Tama Tonga does it a lot, and then he, like, wipes his hand on the ref. Ortiz from the former LAX, he does it, and then he does, like, a tiger pose. And it's hilarious. But, yeah, it's like the back rake all of a sudden, like, everybody decided, what do we bring back? And somebody in the wrestler's court was like, the back rake. And Phantasma is like, I got a fucking idea.
It's an easy, low-impact move, and if you want to shake it up, well, go nuts.
That's right, so. Moving on, another title match. Your neck of the woods, Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship, Zack Sabre Jr. retaining over Sonata. I know you were afraid.
Hallelujah.
Around 11 minutes. These two, I know a lot of people, it's really weird. There's like, I think everybody generally loves Zack. And then there's people that, like, are super high on Sonata. And then, like, late in 2019, I don't know if it's because he's been beaten but like a drum by Okada like 19 times. But people started, like, weirdly turning on Sonata. He went from, like, oh, he's going to be a huge star to, like, fucking Sonata, man. But for whatever reason, anyway, I think him and Zack work really great together. I think they have really fun technical field battles. They play off of their previous matches really well. And this was a good change of pace match. I thought it was pretty great. I went 4 on it, and Zack retains.
I think for my money, a lot of this match felt a bit like Sonata was kind of being dragged along, I think, in part of my view, compared to Sabre, wrestling a broom at points. But I think the issue I had with this wasn't so much the match. It was more the fear of Sonata being the Rev Pro champion. After the Royal Quest weekend last year, so Rev Pro do these monthly shows at a place called the Cockpit Theatre, which holds maybe 150 people. The day after Royal Quest was this big rumour about, we might have a big New Japan star coming. It's like, oh, great, it'll be Tanahashi because he just won the Rev Pro belt at Royal Quest the day before. And it ended up being Sonata. We got a nice, loud reaction, which whether it's us being spoiled bastards or what have you, but you could tell there was a very big number of fans out of that 150 who were, wow, Sonata, really? Because on top of that, he'd also been a surprise mystery appearance at another Rev Pro show the day before, so it's like, this is the best surprise we got. And the fact that Sonata's the only full-time New Japan guy who's done most Cockpit shows, there's a few people who read him between the lines, but he's actually going to win, and he's going to be coming over. It's a show you're calling about a month's time to defend it. But yeah, I mean, the match itself, aside from the fear of Sonata winning the belt, because again, it's just that underlying fear of it's a Rev Pro belt, but really it has been locked up in New Japan storyline since this time last year, really. Yeah, I mean, Sabre, he can pretty much carry a broom to a good match. Sonata maybe felt a bit off the pace, but still got a really good match out of them. I just hope this is the last time Sonata and Sabre paired up, because Christ, they were never apart from each other last year, it felt. And the one thing, we obviously touched the end, Sonata ends the night being the only guy in LIJ without belts.
Okay, yeah, so a little audio difficulty there. We are back, and next up, U.S. title match, Jon Moxley defending against Juice Robinson. This was actually the match I thought we were going to get this day. I thought Juice was going to win, because I did not think he was losing the tag titles, and because I wasn't sure they were going to keep the title on Moxley because of the whole AEW stuff, and then there's all the wacky rumors about AEW and New Japan possibly maybe working together. Jon Moxley retained the championship 13 minutes, and now we have an interesting situation.
Yeah, so obviously this was the match we were looking to get back to King of Pro Wrestling for the Typhoon screwed everything up. This was fine. I went for Gentleman's 3 on it. To me, I think it kind of telegraphed the result. I mean, you were doing the big double gold dash to the main event. It felt kind of counterproductive having Juice leaving with 2 belts. So to me, it kind of telegraphed the result. Even with the whole thing of, well, what happens with AEW, blah, blah, blah. That being said, they didn't dog it or anything like that. I just had a real hard time connecting. They did, I would say, a watered-down version of the no DQ match they originally had planned. I've actually had... The referee, this was still Tiger Hattori, wasn't it? Because they were joking on commentary that what they're going to do, fire him on his last Tokyo Dome appearance, but I swear they did that from last year. But yeah, it was fine to me. I don't say it was just a match, but I just couldn't get invested in this, with the overthinking brain of not having Juice leave for 2 belts when you're doing the double gold specialness later on. I think the big story came after the match.
Yeah, I think it's a really fair point, too, because I think I liked it a little more than you did, but I wasn't as into it as I thought I was going to be, and that's because, as you mentioned, Finlay and Juice won the tag titles, so it's like the likelihood of him walking out with 2 titles seemed pretty much nothing. And I think that was felt in the crowd. Like, they were into some of the weapon stuff, but they weren't really into it like they were their first matches. So, but I liked it, but just it wasn't what I was hoping for, and there are a couple reasons for that. But yeah, after the match, Moxley was all happy, had the title, was celebrating, and Minoru Suzuki arrived. Got his full entrance. Everybody was happy to see him. He was the fucking hero of the night. And he was not there just to say hello. He took off his tracksuit, he beat Moxley's ass, choked him out, hit him with the Gotch Power Driver, grabbed the belt, and I think Moxley might die.
Well, I mean, if you followed backstage, followed on Twitch during the show, obviously Renee Young was at the show, had the Mrs. Moxley press pass. And yeah, just to me, it felt very much like, they brought them Mr. Big Rib. We were talking before about how Suzuki didn't get his full entrance the night before. Well, here's why. He got it twice. But yeah, I think this is probably if Suzuki's sticking around or whether he's still on the per tour deal or whatever you want to call it, this is the dream match nobody knew they wanted until that music hit. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, there's all those rumours that Suzuki was winding up. And I don't think this is a match they're going to be doing at Dash tomorrow. I think this is probably going to be a match they could be holding off. The only thing is, Moxley isn't going to be hanging around for, obviously not doing Fantastic Mania. He's not a lucha guy. But I also don't know what he can do for the New Beginning shows. Bearing in mind you've got, oh Christ, what's that the latest generic AEW pay-per-view, Revolution at the end of February? So yeah, I don't know if they put on one of the New Beginning shows and then have them that be the end of it, but it's also a case, it's also for the US title. So do you put the belt on Suzuki and he's a transitional champion? The fact that they went straight back to Moxley here kind of points to the fact that he wasn't going to lose at King of Pro Wrestling, but this may have been the WrestleKingdom plan. And that's the case, how far can you hold this off?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing is when is he going to come back? When are they going to do the match? And does this lead any credence to the new amped up rumors of AEW and New Japan possibly working together? Just a lot of layers. But yeah, like you said, it's kind of the dream match people didn't really think they won it until they saw it. And yeah, the music hit, and everybody went nuts for Suzuki, and because they knew he was going to try to murder a man. So that's always good. Looking forward to this whenever we get it. And like I say, I don't know if they're going to want to do. It's like, are you going to try to get it out of the way in early February because he's likely having that title match in late February in AEW? Is this something you stretch out past it? It's like, I don't know, a lot of layers, a lot of undetermined things. But like you said, likely not happening at Dash tomorrow. No.
I mean, in fact, obviously, you've got Dynamite on Wednesday. I don't think AEW be too keen, having Moxley, if he is on the show this week, cutting it fine, flying back Tuesday for show Wednesday. But, whenever that happens, I think there's going to be a lot of people, with all eyes, and I can see that match being the next one that's going to draw a lot of people back to New Japan, since you usually get the kind of drop-off of, dare say, the casual fans who come for Wrestle Kingdom and then disappear until G1 season.
Yep, so we another title match up next, Never Openweight Championship. Hiroki Goto keeping the Wrestle Kingdom tradition alive, winning the Never Openweight Championship back, defeating Kenta 16-20 via pin. It's a really good, hard-hitting battle. I really liked Kenta picking Goto apart for most of it. I think he was really good with his facial expressions and heel mannerisms and stuff, and crowd control. Goto overcomes the odds, he gets revenge, and decisively defeated the asshole that turned on him and disrespected Shibata. The question is, are they actually to have any kind of stability with the Never Openweight title, or is this going to be another Goto wins the title and loses it without defending it type thing?
So this match, I liked the match, but by Christ was in spite of Goto being in it. We were all salivating because we thought this was going to be Katsuyori Shibata against Kenta. Plans changed. I don't know whether Shibata's was ever going to be likely to be cleared for this, but we got Goto instead. And I think that commentary referenced at Wrestle Kingdom 2 years ago, that match where Goto was legit choked out by Suzuki at the start of the match, and that gave him some fire and something to work with. Here, I was just sitting waiting for Goto to not be a robot. This was big blood feud. Kenta turned on his Chaos stablemate, beat up his best friend twice, and he's just there. He may as well start with bloody wrist lock. Everyone joking about the old Triple H Randy Orton matches where there's a big blood feud, and they start by locking up. I was just sitting here thinking, what the bloody hell are you doing? It's a big blood feud, and it's just a match. Kenta's picking him apart, throwing Goto off the ring like he was playing, doing his best Berserker impression. And it's what the absolute hell is going on with this? Okay, Kenta's frustrating him. There's just nothing out of Goto. It's just that final minute or two where he actually woke up and did something. It's this, I mentioned earlier about how, Sanada was being wrestled around by Sabre. This was more or less, Kenta against a broom for 90% of the match.
Yeah, the other thing I think a lot of people have, to your point too, is there's a big disconnect with Goto. Because everybody jokes about the G is for Goto and G1, and then someone said that they need to make a G is for fucking geek. Because Goto is always that guy.
That may have been me.
What's that?
That may have been me.
It may have been. So, but I mean, as we all know, it's Goto will do really great in these never matches, and he'll turn it up at Wrestle Kingdom a lot of the time, and he can have great matches. But he's 0-8 in world title matches. So every time he looks like he's gonna maybe do something important, there's a giant disconnect because people just have a hard time caring. Because he's looked at as the guy that always ends up failing. And it doesn't help when you add on top of it that he'll win the Never title and then lose it without a defense.
Yeah.
Which the Never title is I mean, if that's his level, fine, but at least make him good at it.
I mean, looking today's his fifth reign, and that Never title's not been around too long, just over 7 years now, so just over 8 years now. And looking now what he started in, again, going through cage match. First one at Wrestle Kingdom 3 years ago. Then dropped it. Let me pull the matches up. So 2017, he won first time. And now, of course, cage match 3. Yeah, won first time in 2017. And he said Chris Brooks, because cage match for the wrong page. But yeah, he's just one of these, I don't want to say a perennial jobber, but he just feels like he gets to a point and then it was that last hurdle he can never clear. It's like, I don't just, for someone like Goto, it's a guy who, with some people just stop investing and say, so he beat Shibata WrestleKingdom 2017, had 3 defenses before he lost to Suzuki. 2018, he won it in the WrestleKingdom, the match we just talked about where he got choked out, lost to Michael Elgin Dominion, then won it back 9 days later, which was that whole whatever fuckery with Taichi. Beat Jeff Cobb in San Francisco, lost in Bipu, regained. It was back end of 2018. Beat Taichi, lost to Taichi, then lost to Kota Ibushi. And it's like, it's that spell at the end of 2018 that's really cemented this. Plus that god awful G1's G's for Goto. Like, I know we joke about NXT's t-shirts, but come on, that didn't get nobody picked that up.
Yeah, it's I know my normal co-host Jeremy, he has a big problem caring about any Goto match, even if they end up being really good, for just the reasons we're talking about. And just it's a disconnect, and it's hard for some people to get over, because it's like, it's one of those things that, like, if the promotion doesn't seem like they care about the guy, why should you?
Well, it's hard to care about it. Like, a lot of kids, scared of a dentist. And it's hard to care about a trip if you know it's going to end up ultimately with a dentist.
Britt Baker's a dentist.
Never knew that.
Have to get that in.
But, I think after that, so I guess we mentioned before the main show, so the pre-show, in fact, ended with Kevin Kelly being rudely cut off. I guess they were teasing some schedule announcements. We just got the Barker channel for half an hour. Few interesting bits here. I've only got a scattered list of dates here, but Key One's Best of Super Juniors ends in June, which is a little bit later than usual, I think. The Key One is G1 Climax 30. That's ending in mid-October, which obviously the Olympics are in Tokyo this year, so a lot of the usual venues are pretty much off bounds. And obviously, you don't really want to be running a big cross-country tournament right when you've got a couple of extra million tourists in your country that time of year. I know when London, we had the Olympics 8 years ago, just commuting was an absolute pain. And I was barely passing by venues. So, I think it's an expected move, but G1 moving to, I'd guess, mid-September to mid-October. That's going to mean there's going to be a few changes needed in my calendar for New Japan.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not sure. It's going to be weird not having G1 in the summer, I will say that.
Well, it means we can actually do something with House Summer, but
hopefully.
The one thing that I did notice, and again, we're not going to advertise this, again, another trip to the dentist, G1 ending in October. So does that mean which of the generic tag tournaments gets dropped? I'm guessing we're not going to do another Super J Cup, so do they just drop the Junior Tag League? Or do they, maybe they merge for two, and that's our big open weight tag league? Who knows?
Hopefully that's what they do. I would much prefer that. So,
and then have a winner, or even have them both in the highest ranked teams of each weight class. But, interesting, there's no international dates, though. I know there's the slew of New Japan of America dates, and New Beginning USA tours was announced. Nothing for UK, which is surprising given how well received Royal Quest was.
Yeah, I was surprised. I expected at least one UK date, and I expected an Australian date as well, because Just based off of what they did last year. I'm very surprised they didn't announce the UK date, though. Like, I can understand the Australian date being, like, less priority, but I figured the UK date would be announced, and that's what came off as very odd to me.
I mean, again, the I think a lot of this may depend with Rev Pro. I mean, last year they did the triple header, Rev Pro on Friday, Royal Quest on the Saturday, and then the Rev Pro Cockpit on the Sunday. Maybe it's something to do with that, but yeah, to me, I'm not raising any red flags or anything like that yet. But I think at the same time, if they don't do a show in the UK this year, maybe maybe that says something about their relationship with Rev Pro. Who knows?
Yeah, I was expecting because everybody was expecting the G1 move to later in the year because everybody knew about the Olympics and that's been a talking point. I was thinking that if they announced the UK date, they would announce one or two during the summer when the G1 normally is.
Yeah, I mean, that maybe something like G1 starts maybe in Dallas, maybe not the half-empty arena they expose all the way. But again, I suppose the other issue you've got is the Royal Quest, from what I remember, was only live on Fight TV last year.
Yeah, so
it wasn't
disaster.
on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I watched back VOD, but from what I remember, even with the fixed version, you had the audio was all over the place. So maybe that's maybe spooked New Japan a bit. If they maybe did have plans to start the G1 or do some G1 dates in London, and maybe just where that whole show made them go, nope, we'll just do a one-off show somewhere down the year. We just need to figure where.
Yeah, so I guess we will find out when they decide to announce more stuff. It would be, like you said, though, it's going to be interesting if they don't announce anything, because that would probably say a lot about the Rev Pro thing, but I mean, then again, like right now it seems okay because you got a few guys over there for Excursion.
Yeah, we seem to have half of the Young Lion division right now doing the cockpit shows. Hikuleo, however you want to spell it or capitalize it, he's been over since last summer. He's now kind of drifting on his own now. El Fantasmo's full time. Short Ramino just started in, I want to say, December with Rev Pro, and he's going to be here for, I believe, 2 years. The main one, and I'm not going to do the Gideon Grey intro because I don't want to give myself a heart attack. Great Khan, who, even though he took a bit of sabbatical last year, he's been over here since, when was the summer of 2018 when we did the Strong Style Evolved UK shows. And unbelievably, he's yet to even be on the team that's lost in Rev Pro. Currently half their tag champions, and hey, all I'll say is, Ring of Honor, I don't think since they had Evil and Roppongi 3K, they've not had any young lions over. The fact that Rev Pro's gotten 3, including one who a lot of people think is going to be the future star of the company. There's about some degree of faith being pushed in that system anyway.
Yeah, and the fact that, they sent Ren Narita to the U.S. and he's not in Ring of Honor.
No, and again, maybe not the same kind of thing, but Gabriel Kidd, who we talked about earlier, he's training with the LA Dojo, and, he's not yet done a New Japan show, but I'd say keep an eye on him. I watched him back when What Culture Pro Wrestling was a thing. Early on, he did this big losing streak, but he's a guy who, before he went to the LA Dojo, has had a lot of talent, was being sorely underused on the British scene. And I think a show I watched the other day from middle of last year before he left, where he was saying he's actually going to be in LA for 2 years. So, we could be talking about summer of 2021, late 2021 before he's back. By which point, who knows? He may end up, doing the Carl Fredericks route. Yeah,
it's wild how they determine and how long guys are going to stay, and like Kawato's down in CMLL, and it'll be interesting to see what all happens when they kind of circle around and start coming back. So we will go to our next match, which was our loser brackets match from the Double Gold Dash. Jay White defeating Kota Ibushi 24-50 via pin. I want to hear your thoughts first.
So and I don't know, obviously, what happened after the main event made changes, but my original impression on this was that the third place match was going to be for a title shot. I swear at some point in the build-up, that was, the carrot they were dangling to at least make this interesting. We'll have to wait and see whether, plans changed. But because there's that title match thing being dragged over, I was a bit more into it than I probably would have been otherwise. They kept this a little bit short from yesterday, but again, Jay White, and I've seen people complain about this isn't just a Jay White problem. This is a New Japan problem. Like, you look at the card today, I'm looking on Cage Match now with timings. You're looking 12 minutes, 14, 12, 12, 16. The matches that, quote, mean something, you're talking over 20, 25 minutes now. That's an issue I think that New Japan need to get away from, because it's not a case of everyone can go that length of time. Obviously, today wasn't quite as bad as yesterday, but again, you need the bells and whistles of Jay White, the ref bumps, the Gado stuff, and I was fine because, again, Jay White's a heel, he's got to cheat to win, but at some point they have to progress beyond that, and in-ring works fine, but they need to get away from he needs help to win, because at the end of the day, you have to expect that Jay White is going to be going back to being IWGP champion at some point. And do you really want, or do they really need a champion who, A, is heel, but is using all the quote-unquote Western tactics to get there and stay there? The match to me was fine. I think I went 3.5 on it. This is another one I saw, ratings all over the place. I know on Furious, he's probably not the best fan of Jay White. I think he's probably up there for Rob Elias in terms of his favourite wrestlers. He went star 3/4, which, Christ, that's, I think, was a bit of the statement low rating there, if you ask me. But it wasn't as bad as that. But again, if I've watched this live, and again, I don't think they said once the title match wasn't online, but if they just said, yeah, this is just a special singles match for Pride with nothing on the line, I'd probably have been a lot harder on this than when I was. The cheating to win when it's a title match up for grabs, you can get that, but cheating to win just a match, yeah, I would have been a lot more harsh.
I was not a fan, and I'm going to try not to get overly ranty about this. I thought this match felt like two matches. It felt like 50% of a great match, and then just kind of 50% of bullshit that killed all of my interest. And to me, the problem isn't with Jay White, the performer, because he's a heel, he does heel things, and that's fine. But it is the same thing in every fucking singles match he has. It's, for me, completely diminishing returns. I can't even tell you the last Jay White match that didn't have Gato involved, ref bumps, chair shots, low blows, and everything else they do every time out. And I think that's actually a shame, because I like Jay a lot. I think he does a lot of things very well. But it's just complete subtraction by addition at this point. Every time they add stuff, it takes away from a match for me. I also think it takes away from what his perceived abilities are, because all of his matches feel the same. They start out really good, and they even tease being great a lot, and occasionally they overcome the constant just overbooking. But it feels lazy. He's different, which is good. And I think that you either kind of really like the cheating heel in your New Japan, or you don't. But I just find it completely repetitive. If they actually had a little restraint to it, it would be one thing. Like if he did it every once in a while, like you said, in a super important match, like a title shot's on the line, a title's on the line, I think that makes more sense. But they do it in every match. And I know some people love it, and that's fine, but it feels like they've created this Jay White character, and commentary does a really good job of making him look really smart, and he's a really good counter wrestler, and he does a lot of things to frustrate people, and he's like kind of devious and evil, and that's awesome. But with the way they book him all the time, it doesn't make it look like he can beat anybody on his own. And I think you're kind of killing the character when you do that.
Yeah, and again, I think, we had that title reign last year, which, it's fair in his resume. It was a zero defense run. Whether that does more harm than good going forward, we'll need to see. But yeah, this whole iteration of Jay White as the leader of Bullet Club, it's still nothing for me. Like, you had all the prior leaders. This one just feels like the least important version of Bullet Club. I mean, the fact that, it had El Phantasmo starting to do, former leaders' moves. No. Again, this may be my bias, having, seen him, grow in the UK. I wouldn't be too shocked if he ended up being, okay, maybe not the top tier Bullet Club it is now, but I wouldn't be surprised if, someone like him started making a push, maybe not this year, maybe a year or two down the line, because this Jay White just doesn't seem to be working. The fact that, this was Bullet Club's only win of the weekend, that might just be an anomaly when it comes to booking, but, they don't usually, make them go, 1-5, whatever it was, without something being planned.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, man. But I don't know. I think you could just do a lot more. I don't understand why every evil heel has to be a totally cliche version of an evil heel. I don't understand why we need Gato's interference every match. I don't understand why Jado has to do a fucking kendo shot in every Guerrillas of Destiny match.
It happens too often. It's not special, and I think that's the point.
Yeah, and that's my biggest beef with it, because it all feels the same, and I really do. I know some people are down on Jay White overall, and I can understand that, but I think he's pretty fucking talented, and I think he could do way more than the booking allows him to do. Why can't he just be like a borderline, like, devious psychopath that, like, does really cool shit out there? Why can't the heel every once in a while just outsmart and be like a fucking evil genius and steal wins that way without resorting to the whole dog and pony show?
It's almost like they found what they think is a winning formula and they just don't want to change it, which, again, is fine, but when you're doing it every single time, I mean, there's a point now where, if Jay White matches, not to care until Gato gets involved. And it's like, do you really want to get to that point where it's like, the peak WWE where, how many title matches would you see back in the day where you just, not be interested until you start seeing the crowd looking to the entranceway, because that's when you start caring.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of scope we're in now.
Yeah, I wish they'd dare to be a little different with him, because I think you can do a lot with him, but we will see. Next up, Chris Jericho defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi 22-30 via submission. Pretty clean submission with the Lion Tamer.
Yeah, so I went full on this. I'm not going to lie, I was a big fan of Tanahashi as Chris Jericho in that pre-match video. So this is one where I think you're going to have all of the speculation about the all AEW New Japan stuff. Originally that line about how if Tanahashi wins, he's going to ask for a title match, which somehow got translated as if he wins, he gets a title match, which then became official. This was a very different Jericho match to what we've had before in New Japan. We didn't have a walk and brawls, there was none of the bells and whistles as such. This was as close as he's going to get in 2020 to a straight-laced wrestling match with Chris Jericho. You had a bit where Tanahashi was thrown in the commentary desk. It was the Eric Stevens commemorative spot where the English commentary went dead for a large part of the match. But I think outside of that, this was pretty much a straight up wrestling match, no plunder, very little else. But my big concern, I know we said a lot of this during Tag League, it's another loss for Tanahashi, and you look at all those losses he's been eating in the last 6 months, that ace is starting to go backwards big time.
Yeah, I really wonder what they're going to do exactly with him going forward. Because I don't think anybody with like a reasonable thought process thinks that Tanahashi's just going to magically rush to the main event scene and have like a 2-year title run anymore or anything. You know, I mean, I think we have all come to the terms that the Ace is getting older. He has a lot of injury issues over the years, and he has been downgraded, but he's also still the Ace, and he's a guy that you can pop up into big feuds if you have to, and people will buy it. The World Tag League thing really turned me off, because he was booked in a fucking geek tag team. They won like 2 matches or whatever. It was just so depressing. And I know everybody's like, well, he's helping Hanare, and, you know, he's not taking the actual losses. Yeah, but they're a team. They lost like, how many fucking matches were they? They lost like 15 matches.
Yeah, they got 6 points, so that's out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 losses, 3 wins. Okay. Which was damn near the bottom of the table.
Yes, I mean, he's losing 12 matches. He looks like a geek. And, I mean, it's fine to downgrade him and to do things, but I don't think he should have done that. That killed a lot of the stuff for me. But I really like this match. I went 4 as well. I thought they, carefully crafted match. Not a lot of smoke and mirrors, but a little bit, like you mentioned, the stuff on the floor at the table. In Tanahashi, we talk about his physical state and him being broken down or whatever all you want, but he still tells really great stories. Everybody likes to make fun of Jericho's physique, and I think that's just low-hanging fruit at this point. I mean, Jericho's older, it is what he is, the man likes to drink, looked like he was maybe on a high salt diet for this one, a little puffy. But, I mean, he delivered a great match. I really enjoyed it, and he's this really weird mix right now of he looks like the guy you think he should be at like 50 whatever years old, but he shows these like very small flashes of like what he used to be, and it's just like this kind of cool weird combination that I enjoy, and I really liked it. And I think in my preview I thought he was going to win, and my idea was that he returns at Dominion and they go kind of full circle because that's where this feud started, and maybe that's where Tanahashi picks up his revenge win. But we'll see.
I know when Jericho started, he had this list like Cody had of everyone he wanted to face on this run. And if I remember correctly, that list is pretty much done. So, this was the whole talk of the Forbidden Door, which, I mean, come on, you've got, even though Moxie's got a separate contract, an AEW guy is the United States champion. That belt ain't getting defended on the US tours for obvious reasons. So you'd have to imagine something's going to get worked out, whether it's these ad hoc matches. I think with Jericho, he's one of those guys who his very recent career, he's managed to play it smart. He's played it smart. Like, he's not overexposed himself. I mean, he's done selected matches. Okay, with AEW starting up, he's had a lot more in the past. I mean, I'm looking now, cage match, he's had 13 matches since the start of 2019. To cover the previous 13, he had a WWE run, but outside the WWE run, he's not been really hammering like indies, whatever. He's not been doing, for all due respect, Northeast Wrestling. He's not been, doing New Japan or not been doing PWX or Ring of Honor, I should say. He's really picked his spots, and what it's meant is when you see him, he's actually special. He's not, Chris Jericho's not doing Road to New Beginning in Kanagawa, somewhere like that. He's only doing the big spots, and okay, you can maybe argue it coming in for big shows and only going in through video package, maybe a bit big leaguing, but for God's sake, the guy's 50. The career he's had, you're not expecting a guy like him to do the quote-unquote the Maccabee run. And again, we see Togi Maccabee doing those Road 2 shows, doesn't take a bump. Do you really want to see Jericho do that?
No, exactly. The Maccabee thing is funny because, especially guys like us that review stuff, that's like a big running joke with Maccabee. It's like, holy shit, he took a bump. Like, there was a World Tag League match, he actually took like 3 bumps and we were all shocked. It's just, it is what he is. But yeah, Jericho's not working fucking Road to Hiroshima or some bullshit. Yeah, it's like, and you're right, he is kept special. And the other thing is people sometimes bitch about like, well, he's only doing the video stuff, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, it works because when Jericho's in, every time he's been in, they've shown bumps in ticket sales, bumps in New Japan World subscriptions. And so it's like, obviously, maybe not tonight on night 2, since, we were down from night 1, but generally he, especially with the Kenny Omega stuff, he has shown that he moves business. And apparently New Japan is very happy paying him a decently steep price from what I hear, and he's happy collecting that money and going to work there.
Well, again, if New Japan's the only promotion he works for in Japan, fair enough. If AEW suddenly decide, hey, we're fed up touring the eastern half of America, let's try Japan, like that's ever going to happen, that's one thing. But like, I'm looking now, his win-loss record, the only guys he's lost to are Okada and Omega. So you could argue he's been presented as a big guy, he's been treated like a big guy. My only question is there an obvious next step from this? Because if you look, he's beaten Tanahashi today. He's lost to Okada, but he lost to Naito as well, beg pardon. Yeah. So he's in with the mix, but it's like, if they get to the point where they maybe need him for a bigger main event or something like that, he's the guy who, if you need like a throwaway title match, he's the guy you could throw in and nobody's going to bat an eyelid. I think the fact that in the landscape we're in now, where everyone's signed, the fact you've got these kind of wild cards like Jericho and to a lesser extent Moxley, they're going to be invaluable for New Japan, especially because they are names through WWE that fans in Japan know and treat as a special attraction, kind of like the territories of the old days.
Yeah, and I think it's a very fair assessment. And that's the thing too, is that there's nothing wrong with special attraction guys. I mean, if he starts stinking up the joint, then we can talk about it. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. It will be interesting to see what they bring him, if and when and who they bring him back for. Because I think you could definitely do a Tanahashi rematch, but maybe he wants something different. Maybe someone new catches his eye. For his sake, I hope it's not like Shingo, because he would probably break Jericho, and we don't need that.
No, I mean, again, what I'd argue is, Jericho had that list. I don't recall there being many more names on here. So yeah, I mean, just have to say, the obvious one I would guess would maybe be a rematch with Tanahashi. But yeah, who knows? It may even be Okada. If Okada's seemingly not in the title mix, but guess we can move on to that one, since that puts a nice ball on the weekend.
Yeah, we will. Again, I'm really fascinated to see when, who, and if everything that, because it's, as you said, he kind of went through that list, and is it going to come to a point when maybe AEW looks at him and Moxley and kind of puts their foot down, like, listen, really need you not to be going to Japan and doing this shit, or are they going to eventually work together or whatever? It's just way too many variables to figure out. But it's interesting to think about. I wonder if Jericho had Suzuki on his list and then saw him live and took him off.
That wouldn't surprise me. If I was him, I would be doing exactly the same thing.
Exactly. Main event finally closing up night 2. The double gold dash, double championship. Naito finally defeats Okada. 35-45 via pin. I had the over-under set at 36 because that was Okada's average heading in. So actually they went under. Shocking.
Yeah, I mean, the one takeaway I had from this felt like a very quick 36, to the point where I was surprised it ended when it did.
I agree. I agree.
No, we got the point. I mean, just going through the the play-by-play stuff, like you had the Stardust press, kick out, Gloria, Destiny was like, to me it felt like, and again, as if the dumbest people would have complained, but it felt like it was kind of like a almost WWE finish where you had all your moves, then hit my big 2 or 3 finishes and there's a win. I mean, that's not a complaint of the match, but just to me it felt like it was something as epic as double gold dash, first man to leave with the 2 main titles. I don't know, it just felt like, I shouldn't have been going along for the sake of going along, but it just felt like Naito got in his groove, did his moves, got the win, job done. And bear in mind that the whole and people slate him for this. A lot of knee work here and against Jay White yesterday. Yet it didn't seem to play too much into the finish. Like, okay, he had the stumbles, but at the end of it, it seemed to be more. He didn't win earlier because of his knee, like one of the Destinos where he landed with his knee, like 90 degrees, but delayed a pin. I mean, like, I'm not one for picking apart selling, because it's the whole thing. You're meant to suspend disbelief, but at the same time, this wasn't like the Jay White match where it was a lot of legwork and then his leg's suddenly fine. Yeah, I think this one. There's someone I saw on Twitter yesterday mentioned how there was another match that I completely forget, but it took them 3 attempts to get the win in the Tokyo Dome, and this was Naito's third attempt in the Dome. So it's like, third time lucky again. But my big takeaway from this is that this was as close to a close to a definite win over Okada as you're going to get. And the fact that we went straight into an angle that didn't include Okada afterwards, like, they still kept it alive. They did the whole, have another rematch and do it, which, if they can hold these two off for 5 years, have another weekend, great, but I don't think it's going to be 5 years. The fact that they, pinned Okada, shuffled him away, and then moved on to the next thing, I thought was very telling. Whether it means Okada has another breakdown like he did a few years back, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll get Big Kaz wearing his pants and carrying balloons around and doing Scooby-Dooby-Doo high crosses again.
Well, all the balloons too.
Yep. Obviously this was the big win, and everybody was, Naito has to win. That's all I kept hearing. And, I mean, it made for a great atmosphere and a magnificent story and everything. It really did. I'm not going to dog it at all. So, he defeats the ghost of Wrestle Kingdom's past. And as you said, pretty much the most definitive win you're going to get over Okada. I mean, obviously no LIJ involvement, no bullshit from anybody at ringside. It was a quick 35. It went along well, and I think part of that was they didn't do that long 15-minute stretch at the beginning like Okada normally does. They did a little bit of stalling and played to the crowd, and then they kind of got right to action. So that was a big relief, I think, for a lot of people. I felt it went along really fast. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I just a lot of the stuff they did. The story was great here. It's just Naito trying to overcome, Okada trying to dissect him. He kept going back to the knee, hitting repeated versions of the Rainmaker. And, it's like, you had like panicked counter moves almost. And Naito's knee stuff, as you mentioned, a little bit of stumblage, like on purpose to sell that. He couldn't cover properly at times. He busts out the Stardust Press. And he couldn't win with that, so he had to keep fighting. And just when you get the crowd to that fever pitch like that, because I heard a lot of people saying, well, if Naito wins, nobody's going to care. And I'm not saying it's the right move or the perfect move, and we're going to find out going forward, obviously. I mean, Naito's still very popular. Is he going to be able to keep together? How much is he going to work? Who's he going to face going forward? Obviously, we know who's first up. We'll talk about that in a minute. I mean, does the business stay the same and everything? If the business stays the same, you got a big reaction here, and it was a big moment, then it's not too late, because obviously people cared. I don't think anybody's going to say nobody cared about this match.
No. I mean, the one thing you mentioned there about how Naito hit the Stardust Press but didn't get the win, is that still the part of the story they're going to use? They already teased a rematch for Card at some point. Is that, Naito won the 2 belts, obviously didn't get the moment from the sun, but is the real closure he wins with his old finish, and that's the end of it? To me, maybe I'm finding a thread and trying to clutch at it, but to me it felt like that was one little concession they made, so that the rematch isn't just, hey, it's the rematch of the equivalent of a rematch of the first big double belt dash final, whatever you want to call this. And they didn't with this, they've never said at any point that they are unifying these belts. So, if we want to talk about what happened afterwards, had the weirdly no LIJ out with Naito, doing the roll call, no confetti. But before he could even say, I think he got Evil out, and then Kent, of all people, came through the crowd, talk about failing up. Beat down Naito, PK, go to sleep, and then only Bushi came out. And I'm wondering, did Big Show and Kane lock the rest of LIJ in the locker room somewhere? Because I know the Tokyo Dome's big, but Christ, your lead has finally gotten this big tournament win, for a better word. Where the hell are your friends?
Yeah, that was the weird part of the whole angle. It's like they're doing the big celebration. I think you could have still done the Kenta stuff, but like you could have had obviously there's way more Bullet Club members than LIJ members. So, I mean, you could have had LIJ start the celebration and then Bullet Club just swarm the ring and Kenta beat the shit out of Naito and do it too. It seems really weird that he's out there without all of his pals and even though he's talking about them. As you said, he started doing the roll call and everything's happy and then Kenta arrives and kicks shit out of him, sits on his chest, poses with the belts, and then Bushi appears. He's like, oh, hey, what, did I miss something? Sorry. And I saw a lot of people pissed off at this. Naito didn't even get his moment. Gato fucked him again. Okay, he just won. He holds the most two important titles. Here's the thing. Everybody would have bitched if all of a sudden they said, hey, we're to do Naito versus Okada next month.
Yeah.
Everybody would have bitched if Jay White came out and we're to do Jay White and Naito again after we just did it the night before.
Well, the thing is this, you had the big double belt dash. If it was Okada, yes, he would have gotten the moment in the sun because he is the guy who's been leading the company. Naito isn't the guy they've been building New Japan around for the last however many years. And I think what you've got to remember is this. Wrestle Kingdom's finished. And then what? Okay, you could have gone, do it on New Year's Dash. Well, you've got all the eyes, relatively speaking, you've got all the eyes of the world watching that particular moment of Naito celebrating. The guy who used to promote WXW, Christian Michael Jacoby, had a saying that a lot of people in the European scene are repeating is, you can't have rice pudding every day. The analogy being that Naito winning was you getting rice pudding, but they've pulled the spoon away from you, so you've got it, you just can't have it yet. And what that means is, if they want to go back to Okada Naito at some point, and Naito wins, there's your moment. You've had Naito win the belt, but you haven't gone all the way with him yet. So yeah, it's they've pretty much gone all the way without actually finishing. And yeah, it's I don't know, the Naito fan base I've always found being very weird in New Japan. People have got their very set idea of how he should be booked. And it's not he should win every single match and rule the company forever and a day, but it's people have got their ideas of how he should be building up to being the champion and the head of a company, when in reality, I'm surprised genuinely that he won out the whole weekend. I thought, if it wasn't going to be Bushi, it was going to be Okada winning the whole thing. But at the same point, it's if this is, I honestly don't think this was also the long game, 2 years ago when he lost, for instance. But I do think that now he's the champion, they also can't take it off him quickly. I think the last reign he had 1, maybe 2 defenses on. I think with this, he's got to hold it for most of, if not the full year. Otherwise, then he's starting to wander back into Goto territory. But I do think with Naito, you've still got that moment in the bank for if he, gets back to the top of the mountain and then he gets the big confetti and the big celebrations. And who knows? We don't know for Okada, is there, if there's any kind of underlying injury or something, but trying to hide. Maybe they're expecting Okada to take time off or something like that. Maybe they're saving that moment for Okada going on sabbatical or something like that, and no night comes up. You don't know. But at the moment, the snapshot you've got, No, this is the best way of having a new champion and creating a new challenger in whatever way, without actually, having all the, smarky backlash of, oh, it's only Kenta. He lost in the he lost in the undercard. Why should we care? Well, he's giving you a bloody reason to care.
Exactly. The Naito win pays off a story that you can go back about 7 years for, to where he started building all of this giant crowd support. And he finally, like you said, he gets the moment, but he doesn't get the full moment. He gets the win. He's about to have that big celebration. He's expecting his pals to come out. And then Kenta, who's just a complete fucking dickbag that everybody hates, ruins his moment, lays him out, sits on his chest, basically fucking teabags him. And it's actually perfect in a lot of ways, because if you follow the whole Naito stuff, his story's never been, like, neat and easy. It's never happy. It's never great. There's always going to be moments where he succeeds, but it's going to be also fucked up, and there's going to be hardships along the way. It's never going to be puppies and kittens with Naito. That's part of the whole thing with him. And that's why it works. And people are like, well, why should Kenta get a shot? He lost his title on this show. Okay, I get that. You're not making a bad point. He's going to get a title shot because he beat the shit out of Naito. He embarrassed him on the biggest stage of the year. And Naito's going to demand that they face off. And that's how you get to the match. And there's going to be heat for that match because people already hated Kenta. There was heat on Kenta anyway. And now you have him ruin this big moment that so many people kept saying they were waiting for. Yeah, it'll work. And like you said, I mean, he has to get a few title defenses at the very least. Depending, I don't know how long the title run's going to last. It might be Dominion. It might be all fucking year for all I know. It's hard to pick with Gato sometimes, you know? So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I don't think Kenta's a horrible first challenger.
No. I mean, again, you touched on him there. When he debuted in New Japan, even with the Shibata seal of approval, he was getting hate from those New Japan fans, over in Japan. It's like the natural thing, turn him heel. Bullet Club thing. He's not doing all the shtick and meme stuff that the rest of Bullet Club are doing, which makes him stand out, unlike Jay White. But to me, it's like, well, he's also a guy who, that phrase he used earlier, failing up. He lost the Never title, well, okay, but he's embarrassed Naito into giving him a shot you'd expect. And to me, it's like, it's a solid first defense. But my only issue is, the way we are now, who else is in line for shots? Because I'm looking now, the first title reign that Naito had in 2016, defense one was Ishii, then he lost back to Okada, and that was in space of 2 months. Now, if you have a run where it's, all people Kenta stuff like Kenta, hopefully not Goto, Ishii, but that kind of level, it's maybe not going to work. But at the same point, do you go to Naito Tanahashi, and have him get the win over the falling ace and cement himself? I think where they go from here, and this obviously the assumption that, if the Jay White thing isn't going to be a thing, which I think is probably smart because they don't want to redo the match from yesterday, if that's not going to be a thing till, I don't know, Dominion, then Okada's got to have something to do for a full year. Who else fills in the gaps? Do you bring Chris Jericho in for a rematch? Do you put John Moxley up there? Heck, do you do Lance Archer? I mean, it's the thing, because we've been so used to Okada ruling the rooster for so long, we're now having to look at a new champion, a new set of challenges. How they get there, that's going to be a fun part of the story, I feel.
You could definitely... Moxley beat Naito in the G1, didn't he?
Actually, let me check.
I'm pretty sure he did.
It sounds right. John Moxley... G1, John Moxley defeat Tetsuya Naito, end of July. Yeah, that's back when Naito was really struggling with G1. So yeah, Moxley's got a win over him. Actually, if you want to go just through singles matches, you're looking at... so Toru Yano beat Naito, Taichi beat Naito, Moxley beat Naito, Jay White beat Naito. Yeah, let's not stick with the G1 for potential challenger, shall we?
All right, but we could do Moxley, and then we had the money match in Yano, and it'll be all right. But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it'll be. I'm interested to see how they book out the year, and if they're a little less reliant on Okada. And I understand why they are, but I know people get so upset. Why is Okada always in the main event? Well, he's selling tickets and making money.
And it's like, again, I know others have complained how everyone's conditioned. Well, WWE does this. Why are you doing it differently? It's a different business model.
Yeah.
New Japan isn't in a situation where they have a multi-billion-dollar TV deal to let them, play around with whatever the hell they want, because there's no consequences. New Japan is kind of one of the few remaining big companies where what they do has an effect. Like, make no mistake, if crowds suddenly start dwindling down, if, I don't know, Coke Hall starts getting like sub 1,000 crowds if Naito's champion, it won't. But if that happened, we damn sure they'd get that belt off him as soon, quick from a hiccup.
So,
whereas other companies will just leave it on them. Well, we've got this story written out. We'll let it play out. If we lose money, TV will subsidise. But yeah, what happens now with the big players is going to be very interesting, because they said on commentary it's uncharted territory. Not to be on joke, but this is uncharted territory and uncharted waters. This is all going to be very interesting to see just where they head and how they play from here.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of exciting, because a lot of people seem to think that the New Japan booking has been really stale. So we'll find out going forward. New Year's Dash over the past few years, we've had a lot of big angles at New Year's Dash. Obviously, like Suzuki Gun returning, Jericho attacking Naito, stuff like that. What do you think? What are we thinking we're getting at New Year's Dash?
So obviously the only thing is Lykes retirement, which is a given. I wouldn't be too shocked if they started teasing a split up in Suzuki Gun. Obviously we've got Moxley and Suzuki, so I don't think they're going to be pulling the trigger, but maybe start sowing seeds there. As for the rest, I generally don't know. I would hope that we spent a little bit of time earlier, dogging the two tag divisions. I would hope they build some kind of new, tag challenges up, and we're not just going straight to rematches. But I have a feeling we're going to be in for a lot of undercard tags. I mean, I'm looking at the prior few dashes, and those weren't too shabby. Like, okay, you had a lot of tags, but they literally were, 2-on-2 or 3-on-3s. I could maybe see, I know we used to cover the Lionsgate projects, the Nagata Young Lion shows. It wouldn't surprise me if they start doing something like a trial series, I guess. The problem is Yumura and Tsuji are the only ones left sitting around. Do they keep, do they use Carl Fredericks and, have him go through some of the old guards and start pushing him? I mean, no, I'm not going to bring personal life into it, but it's pretty much spoken online. His relationship status, and it's with someone who's based out and living in Japan at the moment. Do they bring him back for some kind of trial series and then start integrating him on the roster permanently? Yeah, I think we touched on this earlier as well, though. The Bullet Club, I wouldn't be too shocked if there was some changes there. I mean, Jay White's the one who won any of his matches this weekend. It would almost be kind of like reshuffling the deck of cards that is being played to death, but I don't know, they always seem to do something with Bullet Club this time of year. Whether it's bodies going or maybe not new lead, but I could definitely see there being some change in that lineup, if only just to shake those undercards up.
Do you think that they maybe start teasing a battle for leadership almost with the Kenta angle that just played out? Maybe Kenta versus Jay. Or teasing some dissension, you know what I mean?
Potentially, I mean, no. I didn't see any of the marketing stuff from New Japan, but said otherwise. But I could have sworn that third place match, as I said, was for a title shot. Now, if that suddenly comes back to before when they start, I should have a shot. I came third. Well, I have a shot. I did this. Where were you? Yeah, but again, I think it's also maybe a bit too close to what we just had with, just last year or so with Kenny Omega before the Elite buggered off.
Okay, yeah, I'm always interested to see what they do at Dash because they can normally set some fun things in motion. It is the big mystery vortex, obviously, though, with nothing being announced but the Liger retirement thing. So, last up, we have an NXT UK takeover this weekend. Blackpool 2, same date, but it's on a Sunday this year. We got a card. Before we talk about it, are you excited at all for this show? Because you were one of the few people like me that review every episode of NXT UK.
Yeah, NXT UK, it's the brand that they moved to Thursday to let NXT and AEW have a clear run at Wednesday. Such a powerful brand, all kidding aside. For me, on the British scene, it's kind of a dirty word, I would say. There are a lot of WWE fans who, are happy it exists. Problem is, these kind of tapings, these kind of events, what have you, there's next to no buzz. NXT UK every week thinks maybe just me and you who watch these every week now since, Joe Lanza's moved on to the other Wednesday night B shows. But to me, I just get the distinct feeling with this that NXT UK TakeOver is the shows that get other people watching, even those who said would never watch because of the damage that's being perceived to be done to the indie scene, and then they disappear as soon as the show finishes. My concern with this, if you look at the lineup for Sunday's show and compare it to the show last year, there genuinely has not been that much progression and stuff. Actually, let me pull up the 2019 lineup. 1 second. I'm on air again. So the card we've got compared to Blackpool last year, you're looking at... So Joe Coffey's in the main event last year. He's in the main event now. Toni Storm in a women's title match last year. She's in a women's title match this year. Eddie Dennis was in a match last year. He's in a match this year. If you're looking like the only changes to the card really are people who have signed. Tag title match aside, Jordan Devlin was meant to be on the card. He got pulled last minute. Walter wasn't signed last year. Kaylee Ray and Piper Niven weren't signed at this point last year. So, a lot of this, it's really exposing how little development's being done. And again, you compare the two cards side by side. So it wasn't Jordan Devlin who was pulled last year. It was Travis Banks who was meant to face last year. But you were looking the two side by side. Mark Andrews / Morgan Webster, they're in the undercard for the TV taping with Icon and Bartel Imperium. I'm looking to have this whole lineup. And the only people who were signed this time last year who weren't on the card, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. Trent and Tyler were in a tag title match. And it's to me, the only people who've moved up has been Pete Dunne, and he's moved on to what I call full fat NXT. And for a card like this in 12 months to have that little shake up, I don't be a conspiracy theorist with a tinfoil hat and say, NXT UK is placeholder wrestling for, for a corporation. May well be. But this to me just says how little has been done with the talent they have in 12 months. Now, obviously this past week, WWE moved to BT Sport in the UK, and NXT UK is now actually on TV in this country. It's not just a network-only show. I think now I don't have BT Sport, so I'll still be watching on the network. But what I did notice was quite a few people complaining about the way that show was edited. So you watched this week, that show ran an hour, 5 minutes long. In the UK, an hour's TV slots usually about 45, 50 minutes, so I had to make some cuts to fit in the hour. The other issue they had was censorship. So do you recall, I'm sure you've seen shots back in the day, when WCW was on Channel 5 and the editing they had to do for that?
I heard about it.
Yeah. So back for those who don't know, in the late 90s when WCW was around, ask your dad if you're not old enough, they had to put pretty much like the Batman style comic book things to censor chair shots for like. So it's been, we're used to it now, if wrestling airs before the 9 p.m. watershed, you'd get crowd shots or they just freeze frame it out. What they would do on WCW Worldwide, they'd throw like these Batman things, so you'd see, I don't know, Hugh Morris throw a chair shot, and just see this massive pow graphic on the screen, which is very funny, but at the same time, it's like it really kills what legitimacy that product had. But so NXT UK, at least for week 1 on BT Sport, they did the freeze frame stuff. And main event last week was Ilya and Alexander Wolf, no DQ, and they were freeze framing to censor out kendo stick shots just before 10 o'clock at night, which, that's well after the watershed in the UK and pissed off a lot of people. But unfortunately, that is what it is. I don't know if that Friday time slot is confirmed, as in if it's a regular one. I mean, going on the card, on paper, it reads like an absolute all-star lineup for the indie wrestling scene over here from 2-3 years back, but it just speaks to something that I don't know. And again, we've got no NXT UK this week. It's probably going to be a hype special. There's absolutely no buzz for this for the moment. Now, ask again on Saturday or this time next week before the show starts. There may well be, but as I'm sitting here now, Sunday afternoon, I'm hearing precious little buzz for this show, and to me, I think that's more of an indictment on NXT UK than anything else is so far.
It feels like everything. It's like time stands still in NXT UK. Like stuff happens, but stuff doesn't happen. Like, Jordan Devlin seems like a guy that should be doing so much more, and he's only kind of now starting to do something. And it's like, the Joe Coffey thing. It's like, you're going to main event again with Joe Coffey, really? After the match he had last year.
Well, that match is still going on. It's not. It certainly feels like it was. But I mean, the problem is, I don't know, and I'm not going to say it is like tokenism or anything like that, but the big complaint about NXT UK is that you're getting a lot of beardy Scottish blokes, a lot of people with beards, and that's, any other kind of representation just kind of stops there. Like, I'm not one for, having, token, person of colour, black person, whatever you want to call on the card, but, just for sake of representation. But it is very painfully noticeable how white, pale, and stale this roster is at the moment, to coin a phrase.
But we got like UK Kofi.
I mean, and again, like Oliver Carter, he's a nice guy. He's fine, but he wasn't that big a name on the indie scene. And what I've noticed, through the 75, 76 episodes of NXT UK, is almost, with the odd exception, if you weren't a big name on the UK indie scene going in, you aren't getting made. Like, I think Ilya Dragunov's one guy who's kind of, sidestepped that, and coincidentally he's been getting a bit of a push in Progress at the same time. But, like, you're looking at Jack Stars, for instance. Perennial jobber, he's good for taking a chop from Walter, but hasn't won. Killer Kelly, she's one who a lot of people hold up as, when she signed the Royal Albert Hall shows a couple of years back, she was getting quite a bit of buzz. She debuted for WXW, I want to say, just over 2 years ago. It's like a late replacement in a women's tournament they had over one of the weekends. And, went to win the WXW women's title, got signed, and if I'm looking now on Cage Match, I think the only match she's won, pardon me, was a non-televised match against Charlie Morgan in August 2018. That's like, so, and every other match has been lost. And it's not even a case of, like the Goto losses where it's been fight so far and then lose, most of those losses have been televised squashes.
Yeah, they're like 2-3 minute matches. I like her a lot. She's someone I kept like. I was like, oh, hopefully they're gonna do something with her. It's like, hey, Killer Kelly's on this week. And like 2 minutes later, it's like, well, nice seeing you. See you next month.
It's like, it's insane. I mean, obviously, I was a big fan of her since that first NXT, since that first WXW weekend I did. And it's just maddening how, it speaks to this roster how you've gotten so many names in that lineup, who are, trapped in that warehouse in Enfield. And yet nothing's been done. Like, I'm looking now through, like, you've got names who are there, like Wild Boar and Primate. They threw together as a tag team, but they're maybe open match. Like, I think they were last seen against. God, who's that guy who did the One Evolve show and just
his name's Dorian Mack now, but it was Dan Matha.
Yeah, he had that One Evolve show, and he's the guy who thinks perfect luck. Be a main event guy, especially at Evolve level. It's like, that's a special kind of talent to have one appearance and never be used again on Evolve, especially considering the whole background of NXT. But again, there may be other things to play about. I just heard the promos which weren't for the, I want to say faint fan, but weren't exactly the best in terms of connecting with the modern day woke crowd, shall we say?
Yeah.
Going back on this card, though, so I'll go through the way they announced on TV this week. NXT UK Women's Championship, Kaylee Ray defending against Toni Storm, Piper Niven. On paper, that would be a fantastic match. The storyline we've had was obviously Toni lost at Takeover Cardiff, went AWOL for a bit, most recently has come back. Obviously wants the title back and has been trying to get Piper Niven to step down. Piper won't, so you've got that three-way skirmish. The one little question mark that's come up, which hasn't been addressed on TV yet because, again, it's all pre-taped a while back. Piper Niven, I think it was just around Christmas time, had a bout of Bell's palsy, the same condition JR's had. Now, it's obviously not somewhere she's not going to be able to work. She's been, been posting there on Twitter and Instagram, recovery photos, how she's picking up. But I don't know if they're going to try and do something like we did with Travis Banks last year, where they try and write her out and use that to cover something like that. I hope they don't, to be perfectly honest, because it's a freeway. If this gets time, it should at least be damn sight better than that Cardiff match. Again, there was talk. I think after that Cardiff match, actually, there was talk of Toni Storm being called up to full fat NXT. She did Survivor Series, as did Kaylee Ray. But again, NXT UK has pretty much been brand that's been running in place. So, yeah, this one, anyone could win it, and would be no detriment or no fallout either way. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, on paper, I really like this match because I like all three of them. Unfortunately, Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm did not have like a very good match in Cardiff at all. I was very disappointed by that one. And like Piper Niven's just been like, she's just been kind of there in NXT UK. Like no sense of urgency in really building her, making like me want to care about her, even though I like her a lot. And it just, they all feel like really underdeveloped. It's like, yeah, you have the story with Toni Storm wanting to get the title back. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, it's like, do you want to crown a new champion? Do you want to cut Kaylee Ray's legs off already with like really nothing in this title run? Do you want to give Piper Niven a chance who feels kind of ice cold? Or do you want to go back to Toni Storm? It's like, I don't know. I'd really want Kaylee Ray to retain, honestly. I think there's legs with that. I think you need to give her a chance. You need to build up some actual damn challengers. And, like, people that you can care about. And I don't care about Ginny talking around and walking around with Jazzy Gabbard, because that does nothing for me.
I mean, going on about building challenges, that's kind of been a bit of an issue that... So, I mean, I mean, it's out of it. No, it's not exactly secret for guys who work in progress mostly work on NXT UK. I don't know, and I don't want to say they're the exclusive people who have creative, but I'll say it's a lot of flaws with progress, and especially by women's division, you are seeing with NXT UK. Like, you're not getting that much of a women's division. It's the one match every other show if you're lucky. And, no, so you have your champion, you have your challenger, everyone else twiddle your thumbs, better luck next time, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Kaylee Ray, she debuted, I'm looking now, she debuted tapings in July, then straight into a title match. We're looking right, if I'm looking right anyway, this is going to be her second title defense. Again, this is a cage match, but her first title defense was on the Largo loop. It's like, again, that speaks volumes for this division. Where, like, okay, you've got weekly TV, but the fact that a lot of these titles don't even get defended, apart from Takeover, it's like, well, it makes the whole TV show not even worth watching. Because you're not even having the fake pretense you have on house shows of anything can happen, titles may change, because we don't have the damn titles on the house shows. Yeah, looking at this, I think the best result would be Kaylee Ray retaining the title. Toni Storm, another loss isn't going to do anything for her. And to be honest, I think the natural spin-off from this would be Toni against Piper. And if that circles back to whoever challenging Kaylee Ray in the summer takeover, then great. But yeah, this one is the match is definitely less than the sum of its parts, I feel.
I agree.
Next up on the list, we have Eddie Dennis against Trent Seven. Eddie, I've got a lot of time for. I mean, the story he had, he used to be a teacher, he gave up. I think he was a head teacher, he gave up that job to focus on wrestling full time. Then weeks later, he tore, I think it was pectoral muscle. Then someone got a WWE contract. He's just literally come back from injury, so I believe in terms of NXT matches, you're looking at not very much in terms of track record go off of. He beat Dries Gordon in a squash a couple of weeks back, and then the last TV match he had then was back in January. Back in January, another squash. So he's a guy I think they had or have plans for him. Problem is, we've got the question mark of the two very serious injuries back to back. Trent Seven, on the other hand, they make no bones about calling him a NXT UK original. He's one of those who's in a very weird spot. Like, obviously, Pete Dunne's been called up to NXT, Tyler Bate. You have to think it's just a matter of time for him. For Trent, I don't really think that's an option. I also don't think any kind of singles belt is an option for him with the belt I have on at the moment. This very well may be his level. And that's not a slant on Trent Seven. It's just the amount of talent this brand's got signed up. Trent Seven on his own may well be mid-card singles act. As far as who wins, and you're going to get this a fair bit on here, you may as well toss a coin, because this storyline I think was thrown together with just Eddie Dennis wandering in and making a nuisance of himself. There really isn't much beef beyond that, apart from what was it? The match with Eddie Dennis interrupted on again NXT UK with Michael May. And if you want to look on Twitter, that's created a whole can of worms amongst some fans there, just him being involved. But this match, whoever wins, whoever loses, I don't think it's going to change their career trajectory in NXT. I could see Eddie winning because he's a heel, first win back after the injury. But yeah, it's a crapshoot, this one.
Yeah, the Eddie thing is like really odd, because he did seem like a guy that they had plans for. Then he has the bad injury, he goes odd, and he's back now, and like he did that squash match the other week, and I don't know if he came back too soon, but I was getting like a big Paul Orndorff vibe with that arm. Like it does not look real good to me.
Yeah, so I'm again looking at cage match. So I'm going to ignore the quote match he had at Progress in September because that match was him doing with Seth Rollins. Hey, I'm cashing the title shot, and literally putting a foot on David Starr after he'd been hit for chair. That match against Darius was actually his first match back from injury, so you could maybe make an argument of that was being rushed back. He has had 4 matches since. There was one he had against David Starr in mid-December in Progress, which he looked fine. There was one where I'm probably going to be catching tonight, if not this week, from Progress's own mystery show last week against the OJMO, who, again, I don't wish ill of anyone's career, but I sincerely hope his name does not find its way anywhere close to this show anytime soon. But that's by the by. But yeah, so he's had 4 or 5 matches since his injury. And I think with him, like, if he's fully fit, fully fit, no injuries, he's a fantastic person to have on the roster. He's an agile-ish big guy. My only concern is what's the creator for him. And from what I've seen with him against Trent, I don't really think there's much beyond this just being there to re-establish him. So
he came back and was a dick. That's the booking.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's the main bit.
As far as Trent Seven goes, I like Trent a lot. But like as you point out, he's a man without an island because British Strong Style is basically dead. Pete's gone. I think Tyler is on the way out because like they had him on NXT like the one week and like it seemed like they were teasing him coming in, and so it's like Trent Seven he's a dude, and I like him a lot though because he's a guy that I look at this way. He's over. He can work. He's a good promo. And you know what? He generally delivers. I think maybe like you said, it is his level. He can be a great player coach for younger guys or serve as a stepping stone for somebody like Eddie here that they might have bigger plans for. And I don't think that's the worst role for him because he is older and everything. And I don't see them being, he's not coming to NXT unless they want to do like a random tag or trios with his buddies. He's definitely not going to the quote-unquote main roster because I get to see Vince looking at him going, what the fuck is this guy?
Well, the other thing as well is you've got to remember Trent and Tyler were NXT Tag Champions.
Yeah.
They won on the Royal Albert Hall shows I was at a few years back. They had that run. They had that great match for Undisputed Era. They lost the belts and they've not been mentioned since. So, again, with Trent and Tyler, one of them is got one foot out the door. They just don't know which which foot it is. And that is also hurting them on the indie scene. Again, not to keep tracking back to that. On Tyler Bate, for instance, one of those guys, he's had this big farewell from Progress. Did miss a return last week on a mystery show. But this whole uncertainty over where guys are, where they're going to, it doesn't really help because, if they don't know where... did you watch much OVW back in there, or at least keep track of it?
I did. I did for a while, yeah.
So the issues Jim Cornette had, complained about, and he's complained about a lot of things in recent times, but back in the day, his big complaint wasn't flips and crap. It was, they called up Damager and Doug Basham, and now my number one blood feud, they're now happy-go-lucky tag team partners, brothers. That's the same kind of thing they're having here, but it's not to the extent of, hey, they're calling up my blood feud and turn them into a throwaway tag team on SmackDown. It's we generally don't seem to know what the plans are for NXT. Like you had Tyler Bate in the early days of NXT on USA. Travis Banks been on recently. And it just feels like with NXT UK being I don't want to say red-headed stepchild, but it's almost like the afterthought, pardon the expression. Nobody seems to know, apart from the big names, what everybody else is doing. So it makes it very hard to plan because, next match, Jordan Devlin and Tyler Bate. You'd find very little argument for Jordan Devlin being one of the most improved wrestlers in Europe the last 3 or 4 years. Problem is, he's up against Tyler Bate, who, as far as we know, could be on the NXT roster this time next week, full time. And, the set for this match, if you don't mind me saying so, absolutely boiled my piss. We've done a V for stare downs, but it was the last NXT UK before Christmas. Jordan Devlin against A-Kid. Great little match. But literally the second that 3 count went, oh, here's Tyler Bate. Oh, well, forget about A-Kid. We're going to move on to this match now. And it's like, it was just felt so rushed. It shouldn't affect it, but for me, it was like, you couldn't wait to get away from this one match because you had the star. And that, kind of is the big thing here is NXT UK has the big stars and then everybody else is kind of there.
Yeah. The thing that annoys me with Jordan Devlin is the dude is extremely talented. And if you watch NXT UK, you would generally never know it. Because while he has a bunch of good matches, all of his best work is outside of WWE.
Yep.
While under WWE contract, mind you.
Yeah, that's another weird one. Like, obviously, no TT, the Jordan Devlin, David Starr match is going to be at the top of a lot of people match for year bouts for 2019. And to me, it just boggles my mind how Jordan Devlin in NXT UK, I don't want to say he's been an afterthought, but it's just pretty damn close.
Yeah, he's a dude. It's annoying. It's like, if you look at Devlin versus Bate as a straight wrestling match, outside of the ladder match, this feels like it should be the best match on the show.
Yep. On paper, that should be match of the night.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because both guys are awesome. We've seen Tyler Bate deliver in and out of WWE. We've seen Devlin outside of WWE fucking crush it with Walter and David Starr and others. So it's like, there's no reason this shouldn't be a great match. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, though, it's like, the problem is like, are you actually going to do something with Jordan Devlin? It's like, because I think he should win, because it feels like Tyler's on the way out. And yep. I'm not one of those that WWE needs more belts guys. But when you look at NXT UK and you see guys like Devlin and Ilya Dragunov, it's like, I kind of sit there and I'm like, wouldn't kill him to have a secondary title? Because you have these guys that they aren't doing anything with, and at least you can maybe do something with some of them in that regard. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to say more belts fixes everything, but I'm looking at these talented guys that they just don't do anything with. And speaking of talented guys, you brought them up. They signed a dude like A-Kid, who, if you go online and you see stuff with Ospreay and Sabre, dude is spectacular, and nobody's going to know it because he's probably only going to be on TV every 7 weeks.
Yeah. We have two days of taping every few weeks. Said this, the Killer Kellys of the world. If they'll be the kind of guys who this main flaw with the NXT UK taping format, and also was the same case with NXT before they went live, you'll have guys who are on one match, you maybe won't see them for another month, then have a second match. If you're looking with the tapings fall in a certain way, you maybe get them 2 out of 3 weeks. But because of the way we do the tapings, it's everyone on the roster has a match on day 1, everyone on the roster has a match on day 2. It's very hard to build up stuff with just the in-ring. And it's like, with Jordan Devlin, I mean, this is nothing that really sticks with me. You still have the fans who hang on, oh, you're just a shit Finn Balor. That was the chant when he started wrestling in England, coming up to 3 years ago. It's 2020. We should be beyond past that, but I guarantee you in Blackpool on Saturday, you're going to get those chants. Oh, you're just a shit Finn Balor. It's like, why? It's because, dare I say, it's, at some level, it's people being reduced to, he's done nothing, or, well, he looks kind of like Finn Balor. They say he's been trained by Finn Balor. Well, A plus B equals C. But, anyway, on paper, Devlin Tyler Bate should steal the show. I have no doubt that it won't. Whether it actually means anything, I have to say, because, again, this show now being on proper TV in the UK, should actually light a fire under its arse. But the other match, I think said, could give it a run for its money.
Real quick before we go on to that, people, you talk about the shit Finn Balor thing. No offense, I like Finn and all, but look at the past couple of years of Finn. Maybe we should be calling Finn a shit Jordan Devlin.
Well, that's a champ that's kind of been thrown his Devlin's way as well. Like, be ironic reversal there, but again, it's one. I think the big question and I've written about this in the past is, what is the point in NXT UK? Is it there just to create content for UK and, with some alleged, frustrate the UK scene, or is it a genuine talent pipeline to the NXT/main roster? Because if it is, I'm looking at this card now. There's 3, 5, 7, 12, 19 names on this lineup, and there's very few on this lineup who I could say, would look out of place in NXT. So, the problem is because, it's been storied, the PC in Orlando is beyond full. You've got talent, you've got a pipeline supposedly developing, just nowhere for them to go. So you end up with this where, this year compared to last, the Takeover lineup is just mostly move a few names around and hope, get a good card out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. My general answer when people ask me what the purpose of NXT UK is, my general response is, well, it was the fuck over World of Sport to start.
Well, to be fair, I think World of Sport would have died if NXT hadn't started. And again, I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists, but it is very telling how the UK tournament started when the World of Sport pilot became a thing. NXT UK came around when World of Sport was taping again. The first takeover only happened because they were announcing the Performance Centre, and the August takeover just happened to clash with, take your pick, All Out or the New Japan show in London.
Yes.
And they managed to get a decent crowd. Whether you want to look at the crowd they drew versus the size of the arena is another thing. There's an audience for this, but it's not not getting the buzz you'd think it would from those numbers.
By the way, I find people that say they're not a conspiracy theorist tend to be a conspiracy theorist.
Well, my tin hat's counting the wash, so who knows?
No, it's you can track a lot of that UK stuff, and people like WWE's just, they're trying to help everybody. No, they're not. Come on now.
I mean, it's not a coincidence, again, kind of off topic this, but since NXT UK started, there's been a very slow stream of talent from the UK scene relocating to Japan.
Like Chris Brooks.
Chris Brooks, just announced he's going to be relocating to DDT for the rest of 2020. Jamie Hayter, who allegedly is Eve's international champion, but a few bits of start of my watch, I think that belt's going to be next up on the side of a milk carton after those Never titles. Drew Parker, who's doing death matches with Big Japan, he's moving over there full time now. Sesamos Martina. So you've got names who, in a normal climate, you'd expect would be, a fairly big part of UK indies.
Martina allegedly signed with Ring of Honor still, but has never shown up. I love that storyline ongoing.
As long as she's cashing her paychecks, I'm not going to begrudge her.
No, fuck no. She's getting paid for never showing up. Good on her. God damn. You know what? I bet Chris Brooks is going to feel really silly, though, when he finds out he could have been working a hot 3.5 minute match with Kona Reeves on fucking BT Sports.
Yeah, the meme about Kona Reeves, the next VXV shotgun champion?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's... But, I mean, again, Chris Brooks, he was wrestling yesterday head-to-head with WrestleKingdom. I haven't seen the match. It was up on YouTube, but it's not been archived yet. But it was a match where he was with Drew Parker. It was an intergender deathmatch kind of thing. And it's which would you rather have done? 3 minutes of Kona Reeves or pissing around throwing darts in one of your best friend's backs in a small room somewhere in Tokyo?
Or wrestling in a fucking water park. That show was awesome.
And with the elephants. So, again, he's a guy, he bet on himself.
Hey, you know what? I love that, actually. It's listen, it's there's places to make money if you put yourself out there and actually work. And dude got a shot, went over there, and now he's going to spend a year there. And I think that's awesome. And he's probably going to come back even better. So,
and at the end of it all, if he comes back, February 2021, and that WWE contract comes and he signs it, no one will begrudge him because, and I'll say this now as someone who's been to more indie shows in the UK than any human probably should, and there's people who've been to way more than me. There isn't that much more for him to do in the UK scene. short of title reigns, which they're props. Let's be honest, they're props. He's created two brands. There's this Schadenfreude and Friends promotion that sells tickets out in a heartbeat. Those tickets are literal gold dust. Anytime he puts t-shirts and what merchandise up, they go like hotcakes. That'll probably still continue while he's out in Japan, although the postage will be an absolute pain. Again, you've got guys like him who he's done pretty much everything he can short of the figurehead title reigns. Well, he's going to Japan for a year and a bit after all this. If he comes back to the officer contract, no one will begrudge him because he's travelled. He's expanded his horizons. And I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, but he's not been the kind of guy who people would accuse of, hey, you have a bit of paper, you signed it, great. Well, now you don't know which indies you can work because Triple H may be in a bad mood this week.
As long as he doesn't come back and start posting about how, guys, I'm with WWE, I just want you to know Brit Wrestling is perfectly fine.
I think Pete's got that gimmick sewn up, but we'll go back to the cards. The ladder match, 4-way for NXT UK tag titles, and I would do the New Japan joke that these are the only 4 tag teams, but we mentioned the Hunt, they're nowhere to be seen. Saxon Huxley and T-Bone, they've been breaking up and splitting apart like everyone's favourite feuding couple. But yeah, this one, I don't know. Any of the flying's going to be Mandrews and Flash Morgan Webster, I feel. The Bearded Scots, they're not really known for flying. Fabian Aichner, Marcel Bartel, not known for flying. Zach Gibson and James Drake, not known for flying. So this just feels like, hey, we've got 4 teams. What should we do? Ladder match. Cool.
I agree with
the ladder match.
I do agree with that, but I think the good news is if we look at this objectively, Gallus, the boys from Wales, and the Grizzled Young Veterans had a really great match at the last Takeover.
Oh, absolutely.
So they have chemistry and can work together. Eichner and Bartel, I love them. I think they're really great. And Andrews and Webster are probably going to do some really crazy and stupid shit with ladders. Yeah,
I mean, there's that video that Webster's posted of him on some endless ladder gimmick in the gym, which, at least all I'm going to say is this: if he does that goddamn shitty slow wrestler climb on a ladder, I'm sorry, mate, you've posted a video of you training that shit. So don't try that with me, but...
Now that I know that I'm going to be on the watch out for that turn to review.
But yeah, it's it's a match. It should be fine. The ladder match thing, I'm very much, why is this a ladder match? Could you not done a 4-way? But yeah, they're throwing all what they think of a good tag teams into the mix. It'll be good. It actually wouldn't surprise me if this opened the show and we'll have a nice hot spot fest to start the show with. I know we did that for tag title tournament thing last year. But again, it's a crapshoot. I think the 2 likely scenarios here, I think is going to be what we could have had with LIJ. We just talked about in WrestleKingdom. It's either going to be all Gallus for the gold or it's going to be all Imperium for gold.
I'm going Imperium because they booked Imperium to face Undisputed Era at that Worlds Collide show. And I think they're going to like the visual of the 2 stables, all with titles, fighting each other.
Which would make sense. That Worlds Collide show, that's actually in an arena. It's not some godforsaken expo centre like last year, is it?
Right.
Do we know how tickets are selling for that?
I have not heard. And
I cannot imagine those are doing gangbusters.
I would think not. It's hard to tell. I know maybe when Dave gets back from Japan and starts breaking down some ticket info, we'll find out. I haven't heard anything, though. I mean, has to be selling better than ROH, though. So,
well, if they've sold a ticket, they've probably done better than ROH. But yeah, I think with this, I think it's telling that 3 of the 4 teams in this match are or have been champions, which says how much hot potato that belt's been in a year. But I think that probably Imperium's going to be the safe bet to win, and going to Worlds Collide for the big cross-brand synergy that I think maybe you, me, and one other person might be interested in. But I guess that bleeds into the main event. Joe Coffey, who allegedly still hasn't finished his match with Pete Dunne from last year, tries to atone for that match against Walter. And I'm a big fan of Walter, so this isn't me being, a homer or anything like that, but why are they putting Joe Coffey in the main event?
That is my question. The only thing I can come up with is that it could have been worse. It could have been Joseph Connors.
He's... Actually, there's something we've not said. He's takeover worthy. Where the bloody hell is he on this card?
Takeover pre-show worthy, probably.
Because with the, obviously with Joe Connors takeover worthy, he's been doing the T-shirt. They did that feud with Ligero and Travis Banks, which just seems to have wrapped up on TV and nothing's been mentioned. I wouldn't be shocked if he tried to, interject himself, maybe a bonus 6 match, even though that's not usually the way, takeovers work. But yeah, Walter, Joe Coffey, it's 2 big lads. Coffey on his day is fine, but the problem is, I've not seen him have too many of those days. Like, back in the day, he used to be a regular in What Culture. Decent enough big lad, but again, he's one of these who I'm looking now. He was in the original title tournament in 2018. No, sorry, but this the Albert Hall tournament. So he was originally a guy who was signed to World of Sport, and then when that pilot didn't go anywhere, he ended up taking the WWE deal. Weirdly, it's not been one of those where he signed and just stopped doing all other indie work. Like, there's been some guys who signed and then just, nope, I'm WWE exclusive now, whether they've asked for it or not. The point where going through... Actually, this is a... Oh, yeah, that's last year. Going through, hitting his cage match, there is an absolute flood of independents he's worked for, mostly in Scotland, mind you, but... Yeah, he's not someone who's just taking the WWE money and sat back. If you look at matches against Walter, I think they've not had that many. Was that 4-on-4 match they had Survivor Series week that was the double count out, and before that was that weird one with Pete Dunne in tag team, Pete and Walter against the Coffey brothers. So there's not really even a form book you can point to for how you'd expect it to go. Walter usually doesn't have bad matches, especially at this level. But again, you've just got that huge question mark hanging over Joe Coffey after Takeover last year. I would hope they've learned stuff from that. Like, he's not going to go up and try and do superplexes and slip and then just try again. But yeah, that match... I don't have expectations for, and that's just me tempering my own preventing for disappointment on.
Yeah, I'm like you. I love Walter. The man does not disappoint. I have full faith in him to hold up his end and probably drag Joe Coffey along for part of his end. The problem here is with Joe Coffey, and the best way to put this is he's fine. He does nothing to wow you, but he also doesn't really do anything wrong. He's fine, but you look back on that match last year with Pete Dunne, it's hard to have a bland, lethargic match with Pete Dunne. But Joe Coffey did it. It was fine, but it was really flat. It went way too long. Joe Coffey never felt like a proper contender or threat to the title. And then you add on to the fact that the length also really exposed his shortcomings as a performer. And I fear to God that happens here, and I hope it doesn't. As you said, I hope they learned their lesson. He's a fine mid-card leader of a mid-card stable in Gallus. He's not your fucking main eventer. And the fact that they're main eventing with him a second time, and the fact that they've only had 3 NXT UK pay-per-views, is a giant problem. Whose fucking mom does he have pictures of?
I mean, if again you want to go down the conspiracy route, I do wonder if there's some kind of agreement. You have to represent each country. Like, obviously you've got the women's matches 2/3 Scottish. Eddie Dennison's Welsh, Jordan Devlin Irish. is with some kind of mindset of we have to keep the Scots happy because I don't know, but it just seems to me like the way it's skewed. Like Gallus have been in NXT UK from day one, or since TV anyway, and it's like, who's asking for this? Like you've got again, I'm just looking last week. Cassius Ohno, had a decent match with Ligero. Not in the cards. Probably going to be having was it Dave Mastiff he had the backstage thing with. So it's probably going to be him and Dave Mastiff, pre-show for next week's TV. It's like, to me, just it's not the names on this card aren't worrying. It's the names that aren't on the card. And when I said it just speaks to just how little development there is now. I'm not saying Jack Starr should suddenly be on Takeover, but following the main NXT Takeover formula really exposes this brand as a whole.
It really does. That's kind of that's the ongoing problem. And you've mentioned the move to BT Sports now, and how in theory you would think it's going to hopefully make the TV show tighter and maybe have a little more sense of urgency. I hope that's the case, because it's like NXT UK is, I guess it's kind of like Joe Coffey. The show is normally fine. The best thing I can also say about it is it doesn't piss me off like Raw or something. You know what I mean? I don't sit there and get angry. I may be frustrated that people aren't being used or used better and stuff like that, but I never sit there and like, Christ, that's like the stupidest thing I've seen on TV in years. It's fine, but as you've said, there's just this giant collection of talent there, and they seem to have no sense of urgency in using them and building them up and being more than just fine.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the biggest issue I have with NXT UK. Like, this is on the assumption that it was going to be inevitable. WWE was going to come in, whether it's because of World of Sport, whether it's because, New Japan fishing around or what have you. It's just that if you have a company, I don't care what lets you stick before it, if it was New Japan, doing New Japan of England, and they had the same thing and the same output, I'll be just as mad. The fact that you've got guys like Travis Banks, when NXT UK started TV, was Progress World Champion just about. Not on the cards. They put him on main NXT to try and drum up interest for the Worlds Collide show, yet he can't get an NXT UK takeover. Like, it just as a casual fan, like if I'm watching NXT on USA Network, and I'm looking around, I like this Travis Banks, he must be a big star on NXT UK. Where is he? And it's just that kind of stuff of maybe it's left hand not knowing what the right hand's doing, or whether it's just he was the newest guy who's able to fly into those shows. But yeah, again, I think the biggest issue with NXT UK is not like the storylines are fine. There's no bullshit finishes, or there's none of the stupid stuff that you see on Raw, SmackDown, or anything like that. It's, dare I say, the gentleman's 3-star of TV shows. It's fine. They do stuff. The biggest missed opportunity for me, though, is how TNA, even now, they'll build up to maybe a big TV special once a month. They're not doing that with NXT UK. So they've pretty much said it's going to be 2 takeovers a year. So that means out of 52 weeks of TV, you get maybe, 3-4 weeks, 2 lots of 3 or 4 weeks where it actually means something. So you've got the vast majority of the year. You're just sat twiddling your thumbs. Dave Mastiff won a match. He's going to have a feud with Jordan Devlin. Jordan Devlin wins. Bye-bye, Dave Mastiff. Stuff that means nothing. Everyone's spinning their wheels. Can't build momentum. And then all of a sudden, it's takeover season again. We suddenly mean something now. It's like, for a lot of the casual fans, and bear in mind, this is an hour-long TV show. Supposed to be the easiest format to digest. And you've got people who, followed a lot of these guys religiously on the indie scene, won't even watch this because the show ultimately is meaningless.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because it's just, you sit there and you look at the rosters and everything, and there's way too much talent there for this to be just a show. It's completely frustrating to me.
And again, it's just the whole thing of, you have all those names to hand. Like, the fact that you don't even do, I don't know, once every other month, you have a 2-hour special or even just an hour special and go, right, here's a mini takeover. We have Walter defending against Eddie Dennis. We have Kaylee Ray defending against Xia Brookside. We've got Gallus, Wolfgang Mark Coffey defending against The Hunt. There you go, 3 matches. It means that, even if you do it over a 2-day TV taping, if people come both days, well, day 1, you build them to the show on day 2. Those matches on day 2 actually mean something. It's not just the crowd are excited because it's the opener on day 2. The crowd are excited because it's the finish on day 2. It's the main event, and they're conditioned to cheer. It just, again, I've got nothing against the guys on the show, nothing against people running it, but it just absolutely staggers me how little buzz and how little momentum they've gotten out of all of this.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is like, for the most part, it's like, this shit airs on the WWE Network. It's been airing on the WWE Network for 76 episodes now. There's no reason like you said, you can't do an occasional special 90-minute episode. We're having a world title match and a number 1 contenders match for the tag title. Something, like you said, like mini Clash of the Champions, mini takeover, whatever you want to call it. There's absolutely no reason not to do that, especially when you were locked in that network era. Now, again, it might be a little more difficult now that you're going to be on BT Sports and stuff, but the fact is, you had the opportunity this whole time to do it, and you chose not to do it.
Yeah.
So. And
again, and I'm not saying that the people running it were chose to do it like, or have been forced to do it like that, but it just feels like very the big criticism that's been thrown at WWE for a while. It's cookie cutter wrestling.
Yeah, and the thing too is, if you're only going to do like 2 takeovers a year, there's no reason why you can't fit in 3 or 4 90-minute specials in the middle of those. Like you do Takeover in January, and then in March or April, or away from Mania time, maybe May, you do a special in May. Then you do your Takeover in August, and then maybe in the last half of the year you fit in another special or 2. No reason you can't do that and spread it out and actually give the brand some urgency, which is really desperately what it needs. Urgency and just an overall sense of direction.
Well, the fact that, in the big family of WWE brands, we've got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, this really, they say main event gets more buzz than NXT UK?
Oh, God.
Or maybe 205 Live, and that's gone to shit in the last few weeks as well.
Yeah. Bad this week. Not only did I have to deal with Arya Daivari, I had to deal with the Sings.
But at least you got your taste of modern day OVW as well in that match.
Just not good. So. Well, Ian, this has been fun. I think it was fun kind of digging into the NXT UK problems, especially with you on, since you are over there and you have lived a lot of it, and you've gone to a bunch of the indies and you've seen kind of the stuff happening, and the big joke, every time someone gets signed or something bad happens or a company shows on, I die at the fact that everybody retweets that fucking Pete Dunne tweet about Brit Wrestling being perfectly fine.
Well, the kind of the argument I'm using now is Brit Wrestling isn't dying, but we had its rebirth a few years back. This is kind of like the afterbirth now. It's not, the good bit's over. It's not dead, but this bit probably isn't the prettiest part to look at.
All right, so that'll wrap us up. Ian, where can people find your work?
Yep, so you can find most of my reviews over on backbodydrop.com. We've also got photos if you want to go to throughthelensofafan.com. It's linked on the website. Basically, a lot of the indie shows to go to, so Rev Pro, Good Wrestling. Anyone who's living in around Milton Keynes area, head over to that. They've got a show in about 2 weeks. It's pretty good. It's actually going to be one of Chris Brooks' final shows. And then, I think over in March, be going over to WXW for 16 Karat Gold, and hoping to keep my record of reviews being posted before the fans have left the building. So it's a nice little personal goal to keep going on.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, everybody make sure you check out Ian's work. Good friend. I'm glad you joined me today. Thank you very much. This has been episode 80 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. Remember, you can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around on social media, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. Have a good week, everybody.